Chapter 1712. After Ling Xiao left the Battle Heaven world and returned to the battle hall, he told Ji Feishuan about the opening of the Martial Hidden Mountain. The Martial Hidden Mountain is opening again? Ji Feishuan's eyes flickered with excitement. Junior sister Ji, since you're the princess of the Great Zhou Divine Nation, why don't you return to the Great Zhou Divine Nation directly? Is there something in the Great Zhou Divine Nation that you're afraid of? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. He didn't know why Ji Feishuan didn't want to return to the Great Zhou Divine Nation, but since she didn't say anything, he didn't ask. Ling Xiao, there's a supreme secret technique in the Martial Hidden Mountain called the Secret Technique of Life. After obtaining the Secret Technique of Life, if you can comprehend the origin of life, you'll be able to understand life and death and control the Great Tao of Life. It's extremely mysterious. My Great Zhou Divine Kingdom was established with the Life Mystic Technique. However, other than the Life Mystic Technique, the Great Zhou Divine Kingdom's inherited treasure, the Cyclic Sword, can only be passed down to the next king when Empty Musashi opens. Only the person who obtains the Secret Technique of Life can obtain the Zhou Tian Sword and become the ruler of the Great Zhou Divine Nation. Ji Feishuan smiled and didn't answer Ling Xiao's question directly. Instead, she talked about the Secret Technique of Life and the Zhou Tian Sword. The Secret Technique of Life? You've been waiting for the opening of the Martial Hidden Mountain. Could it be that you want to obtain the Secret Technique of Life and control the Zhou Tian Sword? Ling Xiao asked. That's right. 10,000 years ago, my father died in battle and the throne of the Great Zhou Divine Nation should have been passed down to me. However, my uncle, Ji Chufeng, used a scheme to prevent me from entering the Martial Hidden Mountain while he grasped the Secret Technique of Life and obtained the Zhou Tian Sword. From then on, he became the ruler of the Great Zhou Divine Nation. It's been 1,000,000 years. Ji Feishuan said calmly, but there was a trace of coldness in her eyes. 1,000,000 years. What's his current cultivation? Ling Xiao asked. He's still a 9th Revolution half-saint. His aptitude isn't good and he has no chance of becoming a saint. Although I don't care about the throne of the Great Zhou Divine Nation, it was left behind by my father, I must take it back. Ling Xiao, I want you to lend me a hand and take back the throne of the Great Zhou Divine Kingdom. Ji Feishuan looked at Ling Xiao and said seriously. Ling Xiao smiled slightly and said, relax. You are a disciple of my battle hall, so of course I will help you. However, the Great Zhou Divine Kingdom belongs to the 9-layer Imperial Obelisk's domain. If I rashly interfere, I'm afraid the 9-layer Imperial Obelisk will send experts to take action, right? Ling Xiao. The Great Zhou Divine Kingdom's hidden Martial Mountain was actually a mystic realm. Every time the hidden Martial Mountain opened, the direct descendants of the royal family would have the chance to participate. Moreover, each person could invite outside help. You can enter the hidden Martial Mountain with me. As long as we can obtain the secret art of life in the competition, even the Imperial Obelisk won't be able to say anything. Ji Feishuan said slowly. Good. Then there's no problem. I've already made an appointment with the 3 holy sons of my war god temple. When the time comes, we'll head to the Great Zhou Divine Nation together. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Ji Feishuan continued to cultivate in seclusion to stabilize her cultivation, while Ling Xiao entered the world of the Cyclic Sky Seal with Tian Gang. Hall Master, the people of my Panga clan are actually in the world of the Cyclic Sky Seal? Tian Gang's eyes were filled with excitement. When he heard Ling Xiao's words, his face was filled with disbelief and ecstasy. He thought that he was alone in this world, but he didn't expect that his clan members were actually still in this world. Senior brother, it's true. Not only the Panga clan, but also the Fengshui family and the Tomb Monarch City. They are all here. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Buzz. Light flashed around the 2 of them and they instantly appeared in Panga Village. In Panga Village, Panga Feng, Li Qingyun, and Mu Yuanqing had already received the news from Ling Xiao. At this moment, they were all gathered in Panga Village, their eyes filled with anticipation. Whoosh! When Tian Gang's figure appeared in Panga Village, Pang Gufeng, Li Qingyun, and Mu Yuanqing immediately trembled. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they trembled and welcomed him. Rumble. Tian Gang's blood and qi surged to the sky, and chaotic mist filled the air. His entire body exuded an immortal and incomparably powerful aura. Pang Gufeng and the others also sensed Tian Gang's bloodline. It was the purest Pangu bloodline. Tian Gang was the person they had been waiting for a long time. He was the son of great Emperor Pangu, Pangu Tian Gang. Greetings, young lord. Pang Gufeng, Li Qingyun, and Mu Yuanqing all knelt down at the same time. They were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. These are all my clansmen. My clansmen. So I'm not alone. Get up quickly. Tian Gang's eyes were also wet, and there were sparkling tears in his tiger-like eyes. He quickly wiped his eyes and helped Pang Gufeng and the others up. The people of the Pangu clan, the Fengshui family, and the Tomb Monarch City were incomparably happy. After 1,000,000 years, they finally saw their young lord, and also saw the future of the Pangu clan. Ling Shao looked at all of this quietly and didn't disturb them. After a long time, when everyone's emotions gradually calmed down, Pang Gufeng and the others walked towards Ling Shao and bowed deeply. Little friend Long, our Pangu clan, the Fengshui family, and the Tomb Monarch City will never forget your great kindness. Everyone's voice was filled with deep gratitude. Everyone, please get up quickly. Big senior brother is a disciple of our battle hall. His matters are my matters. You don't have to be so polite. However, the most important thing now is to deal with the Pangu bloodline in Big Senior Brother's body. Do you have any ideas? Ling Shao hurriedly helped everyone up and said sternly. Pang Gufeng, Li Qingyun, and Mu Yuanqing looked at each other and said seriously, little friend Long, don't worry. Now that young lord has returned, there are some things that can be done. We are preparing to open the secret realm of the Pangu clan. The core inheritance of our Pangu clan is there, and only young lord can inherit it. That secret realm is extremely hidden, and the Chinese and Heavenly Curse sect will never be able to find it. Hearing their words, Ling Shao understood what was going on. It turned out that the coordinates of the secret realm of the Pangu clan were hidden in Tian Gang's bloodline. They could open a void passage and teleport to the secret realm of the Pangu clan according to the coordinates, so that Tian Gang could inherit the inheritance. Do you need my help? Ling Shao asked. After all, the strongest among them, Pang Gufeng and the other two were only comparable to a 9th revolution half-saint. They couldn't open a void passage yet. Hall Master, with the combined strength of our 3 clans and my Pangu bloodline, we can directly open a void passage here. For the next period of time, we will all enter the secret realm of the Pangu clan to cultivate. We will leave the secret realm after we have cultivated successfully. Chapter 1713. Alright. As long as you don't appear in the divine world, the Chinese and the Heavenly Curse sect won't find out. However, senior brother, I heard that the Heavenly Choice Conference is about to begin. It's the #1 event in the universe and the greatest opportunity of this era. I hope you won't miss it. Ling Shao nodded and said. Don't worry, Palace Master. I won't miss the Heavenly Choice Conference. We'll meet there. Tian Gang said with a carefree smile. However, his gaze towards Ling Shao was filled with deep gratitude. He remembered everything that Ling Shao had done for him in his heart. However, he was not a person who was good with words. If there was a chance in the future, he would naturally repay Ling Shao with his life. Tian Gang led the 3 clans into the Void Gate and entered the secret realm of the Pangu clan. Ling Shao could finally put down one of his worries. In the following period of time, he continued to consolidate his cultivation and temper his body in preparation for his trip to the Great Zhou Divine Nation. A month later, Ni Shang, Gao Yang, and Wu Xiong met up with Ling Shao and Ji Feishuan on the War Mountain. They were prepared to use the War God Seal's projection to head to the Great Zhou Divine Nation through Aries College. Marshal. Grand Uncle Long, is junior sister Ji Feishuan really a royal disciple of the Great Zhou Divine Nation? Gao Yang asked excitedly. Gao Yang, you should just call me Long Out Yin. It's better to keep a low profile when we go to the great Zhou divine nation. Ji Feishuan is indeed a royal disciple of the great Zhou divine nation. She's also the niece of the current king of the great Zhou divine nation, Ji Chufeng. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He didn't hide Ji Feishuan's identity, but he didn't mention that Ji Feishuan had entered the mortal world. Anyway, Ji Feishuan had left the divine world 1,000,000 years ago, and even the people of the great Zhou divine nation didn't know about it. Ling Xiao only said that she accidentally entered a secret realm and was sealed for 1,000,000 years. That's great news. If junior sister Ji Feishuan can participate in the martial hidden mountain, we'll have a chance to enter together. Gao Yang didn't care about Ji Feishuan's past and said excitedly. Although he was going to the martial hidden mountain previously, if he couldn't enter with the identity of a royal disciple, even if he was a saint of the war god temple, he would have to face strict restrictions. He might not even have the chance to come in contact with the legendary secret technique. Gao Yang, aren't you celebrating too early? It's said that when the great Zhou divine kingdom's royal family members entered the hidden martial mountains, they only had one external aid. I'm afraid you won't have a chance. Ling Xiao said with a smile. A foreign aid? Long Out Yen, you're the one who doesn't understand. The rules of the great Zhou divine kingdom have already changed. Since 1,000,000 years ago, very few people have obtained the complete secret technique and most of them are incomplete, so they can't inherit the Zhou Tian sword. The great Zhou divine kingdom has relaxed the rules for followers. It's fine as long as there aren't more than 5 people. Gao Yang looked at Ling Xiao in surprise. 5 followers? What is Ji Chufeng trying to do? A cold glint flashed across Ji Feishuan's eyes. She was indeed unaware of this. Every time, the royal family members who were qualified to enter the hidden martial mountains, there would be at least 1,000 of them. If each of them had 5 followers, then the number of people entering the hidden martial mountains would be terrifying. The great Zhou divine kingdom's foundation is getting stronger and stronger, so much so that even the 9 imperial gates attach great importance to it. Every 10,000 years, the hidden martial mountains will open. Even if they can't obtain the complete life secret technique, the incomplete life secret technique will still have a profound effect. The great Zhou divine kingdom has relied on this to make friends with many experts. Ji Chufeng is still sitting firmly on the throne. What a good scheme. Wu Xiong said slowly. He's using an incomplete life mystic technique to befriend an expert. However, no one has obtained the complete life mystic technique 1,000,000 years ago. Naturally, there's no way for him to wield the cyclic sword and threaten Ji Chufeng's position. What a good scheme. Ni Shang said faintly. It seems like this uncle of mine is infatuated with the throne. However, no one can obtain the complete life secret technique, so I'm afraid he's the one behind it. Ji Feishuan said coldly. Whether he's the one behind it or not, we'll know when we enter the hidden martial mountains. However, junior sister Ji, if Ji Chufeng knows that you're back, he won't let you enter the hidden martial mountains so easily. Ling Xiao said. It's not up to him whether we can enter the hidden martial mountains or not. Unless he can restrain me before the opening of the Musashi Mountains like he did 1,000,000 years ago, or he can kill me directly. Otherwise, he can't stop me. Ji Feishuan said calmly. Let's go. This time, the hidden martial mountains will definitely be a fierce battle. I'm sure there will be many geniuses from the other immortal sacred grounds. Ling Xiao nodded. The 5 of them left the war god shrine. Relying on the void projection of the heaven battling seal, they traversed millions of miles and returned to the war god college. Long Out Yen and the 3 saints have left the war god shrine. The hidden martial mountains will open soon. I'm afraid they've gone there. In the Thunder Hall, Lei Xuanji's eyes flickered as he said faintly. They've already left? Great. I will inform Elder Huang Tai right now. This time, we must make sure that Long Out Yen dies outside. However, Big Brother, could it be that the cyclic sky seal, this supreme treasure, is going to benefit that old man Huang Tai? Lei Qianjue sneered and then said hesitantly. The flipping sky seal is the treasure of the war god shrine. We can't let it fall into his hands. However, I don't think Huang Tai will do it himself. I'll keep an eye on Long Outyan. Long Outyan can die, but the flipping sky seal will still return to the war god shrine. Lei Xuanji said faintly. Everything is under Big Brother's control. Long Outyan is dead for sure. Lei Qianjue sneered. Don't be careless. Tian Xing is about to undergo the 7th Nirvana tribulation. Once he breaks through, he will be the 4th saint of the war god shrine. If Long Outyan dies, he will be able to wield the flipping sky seal. Even the war god won't be able to do anything about it. Lei Xuanji said slowly. Tian Xing is about to undergo the 7th Nirvana tribulation. That's right. Big Brother, I want to participate in the Chosen One meeting. No matter what, I must obtain the opportunity to become a saint. Lei Qianjue said. You can go. After all, with your talent, it will be difficult for you to become a saint if you don't have a great opportunity. Your opportunity lies in the Chosen One meeting. However, there will be countless elites competing for the top spot. Opportunities are everywhere, but it will also be dangerous. You have to be careful. Lei Xuanji said. Big Brother, don't worry. I will be careful. When the time comes, if Tian Xing can wield the flipping sky seal, we will have more power to protect ourselves. This era is about to end and the Great Tribulation is coming. Everyone below the saints are ants. I don't want to be an ant, so I must become a saint. Chapter 1714. Kacha. There was a dazzling light as the void was torn apart. Ling Xiao and the other 4 stepped out of the void and appeared in Ares College. Not good. Ling Xiao's expression changed abruptly as he saw a layer of black magic light barrier covering the entire Ares College. It contained a dark, evil, cold, and murderous aura. Roar! 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 Dragon roars resounded in the sky, causing the space to tremble violently. 81 golden dragons soared into the sky, forming a huge 9-dragon divine formation, which was contending with that layer of polished barrier. Ares College had already suffered heavy casualties. Many of the Ares College's disciples had been killed by the Demon Clan's experts who appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Blood splattered across the sky, and broken limbs were strewn everywhere. It was like a scene straight out of hell. Tong Yuan and Han Li were furious. They held powerful holy treasures in their hands and led many elders to activate the 9-dragon divine formation. They were fighting against the 3 figures in the sky, but at the moment, they were losing ground, as if they were arrows at the end of their flight. The 3 figures were 3 elders in black robes. Each of them was surrounded by a monstrous demonic aura. They were evil and dark, and their eyes were bloodthirsty and cruel. Terrifying aura intertwined around them. They had reached the 9th transformation half-saint realm. Their strength was extremely terrifying. Are they experts from the Heavenly Demon Clan? Damn it! They actually sealed the entire Ares College. No wonder the sect did not receive any news. Hurry up and save them. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he rushed towards the 3 elders in black robes. Ling Xiao could recognize that the 3 black-robed elders were all experts from the Heavenly Fiend clan. Their strength was unparalleled. Even if Tong Yuan and Han Li had flawless holy treasures and the 9-dragon divine array, they would not be able to withstand it. Long Outyan? Why are you back? Hurry up and leave this place. You are no match for them. Hurry up and tell the sect that the Heavenly Demon Clan has invaded. Let the sect take revenge for us. Tong Yuan and Han Li also discovered that Ling Xiao and the other 4 had appeared in the center of the teleportation array. Immediately, their eyes revealed an incomparably anxious expression as they hurriedly urged. They couldn't discern the cultivation level of Ling Xiao and the other 4. After all, even Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan had reached the 1st transformation half-saint realm. However, in their opinion, the 3 Heavenly Devil Clan experts before them were too terrifying. Many of the Ares College's elders couldn't even withstand a single blow from them. More than half of them were killed or injured. Ling Xiao and the others were definitely not their match. Rest assured, Principal. Leave these 3 demon bastards to me. Ling Xiao said calmly, but his gaze was extremely cold. So many disciples and elders of Ares College had died tragically, and this had completely ignited the murderous intent in his heart. These Heaven Devil race's bastards deserve to die. A student of Ares College? You're merely a First Revolution half-saint. I think you're courting death. Offer me your flesh and soul, you overconfident brat. When a black-robed old man saw Ling Xiao, he was slightly surprised. However, his eyes were filled with cruelty as he stretched out his hand and grabbed at Ling Xiao. Long Out Yen, leave quickly. You're not their match at all. Tong Yuan and Han Li were about to go crazy. They would rather die than let Ling Xiao die for them. Principal Tong, Elder Han, you don't have to worry. Those 3 demon bastards aren't Long Out Yen's match. They're dead meat. Ni Shang said calmly as she landed beside Tong Yuan and Han Li. Her eyes revealed a trace of cold murderous intent. Even though she had a cold temperament, seeing so many Ares College's disciples die tragically, a trace of murderous intent emerged in her heart. Those 3 Heavenly Devil Clan experts are all high-level half-saints. You don't know this, but Long Out Yen is definitely not their match. You're Saintess Ni Shang. Han Li said anxiously. However, when he saw Ni Shang's appearance clearly, his body suddenly trembled. His eyes revealed a look of surprise and joy. Han Li had seen the Saintess Ni Shang of the War God Temple before. The Saintess Ni Shang was the personal disciple of the War God. She was extremely talented and powerful. It was said that she had once killed a 9th Revolution half-saint expert. She had always been the eldest senior sister in the hearts of the War God Temple disciples. She was a legendary existence. Han Li had never thought that the Saintess Ni Shang would grace Ares College with her presence. However, what did the Saintess Ni Shang mean when she said that the 3 Heavenly Devil Clan experts were not Long Out Yen's match? Han Li had some doubts in his heart. However, the next scene completely stunned him and Tong Yuan. Boom! Ling Xiao didn't waste any time talking nonsense with the 3 Heavenly Devil Clan experts. They had completely aroused the murderous intent in Ling Xiao's heart. Ling Xiao's entire body was filled with blood qi. A light flashed in his hand, and the flipping sky seal soared in the wind. It contained a vast power that could destroy everything and directly attack the black-robed old man in front of him. What? No. Ah. The black-robed old man originally had a sneer on his face. He felt that a First Revolution half-saint disciple of the War God Temple actually dared to attack him. He was simply courting death. However, the moment the flipping sky seal appeared, he felt the threat of death. Suddenly, his expression changed drastically. He started to roar wildly. His voice was filled with uncontrollable fear. Boom! However, the power of the flipping sky seal was too terrifying. It was like an immortal mountain that suppressed the ancient times. As a 9th Revolution half-saint, the black-robed old man didn't even have the slightest bit of resistance. He was directly smashed into smithereens by the flipping sky seal. That black seal, could it be the legendary? Han Li and Tong Yuan widened their eyes and trembled all over. They only felt that their breathing had become incomparably rapid. Han Li seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes couldn't help but widen. That's right. It is the flipping sky seal. Long Out Yen now wields the flipping sky seal and is now the master of the War God Temple. Ni Shang confirmed Han Li's guess and said slowly. Wields the flipping sky seal. The master of the War God Temple. Han Li and Tong Yuan felt as though they were in a dream. They didn't dare to believe what Ni Shang had said. However, everything in front of them was so real. Other than the flipping sky seal, What else could kill a ninth revolution half-saint expert with a single blow? This news reverberated in their minds, causing them to be stunned. Oh no! Run quickly! After the first expert from the Heavenly Demon clan was killed by Ling Xiao, the remaining two black-robed old men's faces changed drastically. The terrifying fluctuations that the flipping sky seal emitted made their scalps go numb. Their bodies trembled, and they didn't have the slightest bit of resistance in their hearts. They wanted to escape into the distance. Swoosh! The flipping sky seal emitted a monstrous sage aura. In an instant, it soared in the sky and covered the sun. It was as though it had transformed into a mountain that was millions of feet tall. It directly suppressed the two black-robed old men. Poof! Chapter 1715. The three black-robed elders from the Sky Fiend clan, who were experts at the peak of the ninth transformation half-saint realm, were all killed by the flipping sky seal. Their primordial spirits were also suppressed by Ling Xiao in the flipping sky seal. He was prepared to interrogate their primordial spirits for information. After all, the experts from the Sky Fiend clan had inexplicably besieged Ares College, which made Ling Xiao smell a conspiracy. The flipping sky seal is indeed terrifying. Ni Shang exclaimed in shock. Tong Yuan and Han Li regained their senses at this moment. They looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. In their eyes, the experts from the Sky Fiend clan were extremely terrifying. Even with the flawless holy treasure in their hands and the activation of the 9-dragon divine array, they could not withstand the attacks of the experts from the Sky Fiend clan. However, all of them had died in the hands of Ling Xiao. In just a short span of 1 to 2 years, Ling Xiao's cultivation had already grown to such a level. It was indeed terrifying. Rumble. On the other hand, Gao Yang, Wu Xiong, and Ji Feishuan didn't stay idle either. Under their joint attacks, most of the Heavenly Devil clan's experts were low-level half-saints and demon god monarchs, and they were easily annihilated. Ares College looked like an Azura hell. In this battle, countless disciples and elders had died in the hands of the experts from the Sky Fiend clan. It could be said that they had suffered a great loss. Even in the previous battle with demon sage Bo Yu, Ares College's losses were not as heavy as this one. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and felt a little tired. With his current cultivation, although it seemed like he had easily killed the 3 experts from the Sky Fiend clan, it had taken a huge toll on him. If not for the fact that the flipping sky seal had the Thunder Spirit King as its weapon spirit, even if he could activate the flipping sky seal to kill the experts from the Sky Fiend clan, he would have been completely drained and would not have the strength to continue fighting. Swoosh! Ling Xiao used the sky-devouring secret skill to devour the primordial spirits of the 3 experts from the Sky Fiend clan. He suppressed them in the wordless heavenly book and began to interrogate the memories in their primordial spirits. Dean Tong, Elder Han, why did the experts from the Sky Fiend clan besiege Ares College? At this moment, Ni Shang also voiced the doubts in her heart. We don't know either. Tong Yuan laughed bitterly and said, the Heavenly Devil race's experts seem to have appeared out of thin air. First, the 3 black-robed elders used the Devil race's formation to seal Ares College and prevent us from contacting the sect. Then, they started a massacre. It was as though it was premeditated. That's strange. The Heavenly Fiend race had besieged Ares College on such a large scale. What were their intentions? And where did they come from? Dean Tong, did anything happen in the God and Devil space? Gao Yang asked doubtfully. We can't figure it out either. The God-Devil space might have some small-scale conflicts these days, but the ancient Supreme Ancient City is safe and sound. These Heaven-Devil race experts couldn't have come from the God-Devil space. Han Li also said. You don't have to guess anymore. I have already interrogated their primordial spirits. This attack on Ares College was a conspiracy. Ling Xiao's voice suddenly rang out. Everyone shuddered and couldn't help but look at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao walked over with a cold glint in his eyes. These Heavenly Devil race experts are the remnants of the Devil race who have been hiding in the divine world for a long time. It's just that the heavenly devil race is good at disguising themselves and looks no different from humans, so it's very difficult for others to discover them. This time, a human expert gave them an order to hunt down the war god temple's outer sect organizations with all their might. Ling Xiao recounted the information he had interrogated from the primordial spirits of the three experts. Human expert. He actually dared to collude with the devil race. He deserves to die. But who exactly is that human expert? Wu Xiong and Gao Yang asked coldly. I don't know. That human expert hid very well, but we can be sure that he's at least a sage. Even these heavenly devil race experts don't know his identity. He's probably from the 12 immortal sacred grounds. We have to tell the sect to be careful. I'm afraid that the sect's other gods' stone mines, outer sect organizations, shops, pavilions, and other places will be attacked by the heavenly devil race experts. This person is targeting our war god temple. I'm afraid he's plotting something big. Ling Xiao said slowly. He also felt a little regretful that he did not find out the mastermind behind the scenes. I'll send a message to Master right now. They should be sending people to Ares College very soon. Dean Tong, Elder Han, you have to be on high alert during this period of time. Once the heavenly devil race experts attack again, immediately send a message to me. Ni Shang said slowly. After Ni Shang sent a message to the sect quickly sent a few powerful half-sages to Ares College. They were on high alert and began to make arrangements. Ling Zhao's group of 5 took the teleportation array and headed to the Great Zhou Kingdom. However, the invasion of the heavenly devil race cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. Heaven Capital was the capital city of the Great Zhou Kingdom. Heaven Capital was located on Heaven Capital Mountain. It was an ancient city that had been standing for hundreds of millions of years. It occupied an area of tens of thousands of miles and was built on top of a lofty mountain. It was vast and majestic. In Heaven Capital, there were palaces, pavilions, and jade carvings. Green and elegant peaks could be seen everywhere. It was enshrouded in resplendent light, as though it was the palace of the gods. It was ancient and mysterious. The Great Zhou Kingdom had a long history. It was even rumored that there was a great emperor among the ancestors of the Great Zhou Kingdom. However, that great emperor was short-lived. The Great Zhou Kingdom did not receive much of the great emperor's inheritance. Hence, they did not have the foundation of an emperor clan and could only be reduced to an ordinary kingdom. However, over the years, as the king of the Great Zhou Kingdom, Ji Chufeng, worked hard to govern the kingdom and made friends with many experts from the sacred lands, the Great Zhou Kingdom's strength grew stronger. Although they still relied on the 9-layered imperial obelisk to exist, the 9-layered imperial obelisk paid more attention to them. As for the Great Zhou Kingdom's martial hidden mountain, it was rumored that it contained a secret technique of life. It had the profoundness of life and death. Hence, every time the martial hidden mountain opened, it would attract many experts to participate. Buzz! When Ling Zhao's group of 5 came out of the teleportation array in Heaven Capital, they could instantly feel the liveliness and prosperity of Heaven Capital. There were also many powerful auras flashing by. Heaven Capital, I'm back again. Ji Feishuan looked at the Heaven Capital in front of her and sighed softly. There was a trace of sadness and vicissitudes in her eyes. Heaven Capital was still there, but it was no longer the Heaven Capital that Ji Feishuan was familiar with. Our war god temple has a pavilion in the Great Zhou Kingdom. Before the martial hidden mountain opens, let's stay there temporarily. Ni Shang said slowly. Ling Xiao and the others naturally had no objections and followed Ni Shang to the pavilion of the war god temple. War God Elixir Talisman Pavilion. This was one of the businesses of the War God Temple in the Great Zhou Kingdom. The main business was elixir and talisman business. Although the business wasn't very good, the most important thing was to collect information and provide a stronghold for the War God Temple. Chapter 1716. The War God Elixir Seal Pavilion was located on Zhou Tian Street, the busiest street in Tian capital. It was a 5-story pavilion. The pavilion master of the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion was a deacon of the Sky Hall, Chen Xian, who was a 6th revolution half-saint. Although the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion wasn't very big on Zhou Tian Street, it was backed by the War God Temple, one of the 12 immortal sacred grounds. Therefore, no one dared to cause trouble here. Boom! Ling Xiao and the others had just reached the entrance of the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion when they heard a loud bang. The 2 doors flew open and shattered into pieces. A figure flew out and landed on the street outside, spitting out blood. His eyes were filled with fear. How dare the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion deceive young Master Yunyang? You must be tired of living. If you don't give me an explanation today, I will tear down the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. A cold and arrogant voice rang out. 3 figures walked out of the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. One of them was a young man in a green dragon robe. He had a jade crown on his head and a pair of python boots on his feet. He had a slender and vigorous body and a handsome face. He had a cold smile on his face and a powerful aura. He was a 1st revolution half-saint. Beside him was a young man in a white robe. His body emitted a blazing aura, and his eyes flickered like flames. He looked extremely arrogant and was also a 1st revolution half-saint. Behind the 2 of them was a stooped old man. He was very small and inconspicuous, but Ling Xiao could tell that this old man was very powerful. He had already reached the 7th revolution half-saint realm. Ling Xiao and the others' faces couldn't help but darken. The War God Elixir Seal Pavilion was a property of the War God Temple. It seemed like these people didn't have good intentions for causing trouble here. The War God Elixir Seal Pavilion has never sold fake medicine. You are slandering us. The person who had fallen on the street was a young man with delicate features. He was only a sky celestial realm cultivator. He struggled to stand up with an aggrieved look on his face, but he still tried to defend himself. I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Chen Xian doesn't dare to come out. Today, I will cripple you first. The young man in the green dragon robe had a cold look in his eyes. He immediately sent a palm strike towards the young man. The aura around him was terrifying. Holy aura. One look and one could tell that he had just broken through and he couldn't control his strength. He couldn't control his strength, Gao Yang's temper was the most explosive. A cold glint flashed through his eyes as he threw out a slap. With a crisp sound, the young man's expression changed drastically. He felt as if he had slammed into a mountain. His arm was shattered by Gao Yang's slap, and he was sent flying. The skinny old man caught him. And this was because Gao Yang had shown mercy. Otherwise, with Gao Yang's cultivation, he could have killed him with a single slap. How dare you hurt me? Gods A. The young man in the green dragon robe was furious. He stared at Gao Yang fiercely. His eyes were full of shock and anger. The Gao Yang in front of him looked to be about the same age as him, but he had broken his arm so easily. This made him secretly wonder if Gao Yang was a disciple of some sacred ground. But these thoughts disappeared in a flash. He had been arrogant in Tiandu City for so many years. He had never suffered such a loss. The anger in his heart suppressed his doubts. Little brother, are you okay? What happened at the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion? Ling Xiao helped the young man up. Then, a majestic energy flowed into his body. The young man's injuries began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Thank you, big brother. This is Prince 19 of the Great Zhou Divine Nation. A few days ago, he and young Master Yunyang came to our War God Elixir Seal Pavilion to buy a few tribulation-breaking pills. But now, he is looking for trouble. He said that our tribulation-breaking pills are fake and caused one of young Master Yunyang's subordinates to go crazy. The young man said in a somewhat angry and aggrieved manner. At this moment, a black-robed middle-aged man came out of the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion with the help of several people. The black-robed middle-aged man looked like a second revolution half-sage. However, his aura was incomparably weak. It seemed as if he had gone crazy. He had fallen from the third revolution half-sage realm. The young man's name was Bai He. He was the steward of the war god Elixir Seal Pavilion. The young man in the green dragon robe was called Ji Chen. He was the Prince 19 of the great Zhou divine nation. He was one of the most beloved princes of Ji Chu Feng. His innate talent was extraordinary. He had already reached the first revolution half-sage realm. Tribulation-breaking pill. Isn't that a pill used to help a half-sage expert cross the nirvana tribulation? How can it cause him to go crazy? A sharp light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes. He knew about the tribulation-breaking pill. It was one of the special pills of the War God Temple. It was very popular. It was a pill refined with the indestructible saint technique as the foundation. It could dissolve the tribulation chi of the nirvana tribulation and transform it into boundless vitality to help a half-sage expert cross the nirvana tribulation. It had always been in short supply. It was impossible to cause him to go crazy. Ling Xiao knew that Prince 19 and the others were deliberately targeting the war god Elixir Seal Pavilion. Get lost. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll kill you. Gao Yang's gaze turned cold. His eyes were blazing with passion. They were as sharp as the great sun divine sword. Ji Chen couldn't help but tremble. He felt even more embarrassed and angry. Bai He, where is Pavilion Lord Qin Xian? Ni Shang also asked. Her gaze was slightly cold. The war god Elixir Seal Pavilion had been attacked, but Qin Xian still hadn't shown up. Pavilion Lord Qin Xian and a few protectors have left the city. I'm Pavilion Lord Qin Xian's disciple. I'm temporarily in charge of the affairs of the war god Elixir Seal Pavilion. I didn't expect to encounter such a situation. Bai He said. He wasn't old and had the reputation of the war god temple. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to cause trouble here. Originally, even if his cultivation wasn't high, it wouldn't be a problem for him to temporarily take charge of the affairs for a few days. However, he encountered Ji Chen and the others. Miss, why are you interfering in the affairs of the war god Elixir Seal Pavilion? I'm Yun Yang, a disciple of the Elixir Seal Mountain. May I know your name? The white-clothed youth's eyes lit up when he saw Ni Shang. He couldn't help but walk up with a smile. A disciple of the Elixir Seal Mountain? Hearing Yun Yang's words, the surrounding people couldn't help but have a slight change in expression. The Elixir Seal Mountain was a special sect. It was formed by a group of alchemists and talisman masters. There was no lack of alchemy saints and talisman saints. The elixirs and divine talismans refined by them were very popular. They were inextricably linked to many sects and sacred grounds. Chapter 1717. Disciples of the Pill Talisman Mountain. What is the Pill Talisman Mountain? How dare you come to the war god Pill Talisman Pavilion and behave atrociously? Don't you know that this is the property of the war god temple? Ni Shang's eyes were cold as she stared at Yun Yang. There wasn't a trace of emotion in her voice. You are, disciples of the war god temple? Yun Yang's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. The surrounding crowd's expression couldn't help but change slightly. There was a good show to watch now. The war god Pill Talisman Pavilion was smashed by Prince 19, but in the blink of an eye, disciples of the war god temple came. This was too much of a coincidence. Although the great Zhou divine nation was weaker than the war god temple, the 9 imperial obelisk behind the great Zhou divine nation wasn't weak at all. Coupled with the unfathomable Pill Talisman Mountain, it was hard to say who would win if the two clashed. Kneel down and apologize. Fix the door of the war god Pill Talisman Pavilion, and I will spare your lives. Ni Shang said calmly with a dignified voice that couldn't be defied. The 5 of them were suppressing anger in their hearts. Previously, Ares College was almost destroyed by the experts of the Sky Devil race. Now, the war god Pill Talisman Pavilion was being attacked. When had the war god temple ever suffered this kind of humiliation? Especially since Ni Shang, Gao Yang, and Wu Xiong were the 3 great saintesses and saints of the war god temple. Their every action represented the dignity of the war god temple. Naturally, they couldn't let this matter go so easily. Ji Chen and Yun Yang's eyes turned cold, and they couldn't maintain their composure. This extremely beautiful lady's words were too domineering. She actually wanted them to kneel down and apologize. So what if you are disciples of the war god temple? This is the divine capital, the great Zhou divine nation, not your war god temple. Do you think it's reasonable for you to sell fake medicine? Young Master Yun Yang's subordinates suffered from qi deviation because they ate your tribulation-breaking pills. If you don't give an explanation today, the Zhou Tian guards of the great Zhou divine nation aren't to be trifled with. Ji Chen laughed in extreme anger, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Although he could not see the aura of Ling Xiao and the other four, he guessed that they were only in the half-saint realm. Half-saints were considered the strongest in the divine capital, but the great Zhou divine kingdom was not afraid of them. Miss, be careful. Your tribulation-breaking pill is quite famous in the god realm, but I didn't think that it would cause someone to go crazy. How dare you sell such a pill? If you don't give me an explanation today, do you really think my pill talisman mountain is a pushover? Yun Yang said with a proud smile. The surrounding crowd had suspicious looks on their faces. The middle-aged man in black was indeed young Master Yun Yang's subordinate. If there was really a problem with the tribulation-breaking pill of the Battle God Elixir Seal Pavilion, then there would be big trouble. After all, the tribulation-breaking pill was quite famous in Tiandu City. Many sage-to-be experts had bought it before. Everyone's gaze landed on Ling Xiao, Ni Shang, and the rest, waiting to see how they would explain. You're framing me. So many people were fine after taking the tribulation-breaking pill, so why did your subordinate go mad? I think this is extortion. There's no problem with our tribulation-breaking pills. Bai He was so angry that his face turned red as he spoke furiously. Ni Shang frowned slightly. She also felt that it was a little troublesome. She could teach Ji Chen and Yun Yang a lesson, but the tribulation-breaking pill was a strategic resource of the war god temple. It was precisely because the tribulation-breaking pill brought in a lot of profits for the war god temple every year that the tribulation-breaking pill was one of the 2 best-selling treasures in the Battle God Elixir Seal Pavilion. Ni Shang, let me do it. Ling Xiao said softly and walked out. Ni Shang had no other way to deal with this situation, so she nodded. You're saying that this person went mad after taking the tribulation-breaking pill? Ling Xiao glanced at the middle-aged man in black and said indifferently. That's right. He still has the pill aura of the tribulation-breaking pill on him. If it wasn't for the problem with the tribulation-breaking pill, he would have broken through to the 4th revolution half-saint and wouldn't have gone mad, causing his cultivation to drop by 1 realm. Yun Yang sneered. Is that so? A gleam of light appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. He directly made his way to the black-robed man's side and sensed carefully. The tremendous power of his soul silently invaded the black-robed man's body. He circulated through his body and discovered the pill qi of the tribulation-breaking pill. However, Ling Xiao also found a very faint light in the middle-aged man's meridians. An ordinary person might not be able to detect it at all. It seemed to be exactly the same as the saint energy in the middle-aged man's body. However, Ling Xiao felt a trace of a different aura. It's actually the spirit-seizing herb. No wonder it could cause him to go mad. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. He had finally discovered the truth behind the middle-aged man's qi deviation. The spirit-seizing herb was a precious panacea. It could seize the spirituality of heaven and earth. It could rebirth a person's mortal body and remove the impurities in the body. It could even perfect the Taoist foundation. There was no problem with it. However, if the spirit-seizing herb's power was integrated with the tribulation-breaking pill, the efficacy of the tribulation-breaking pill would change drastically. It would turn from a supreme treasure into a poisonous pill. Not only would it not be able to resolve the tribulation aura of the nirvana tribulation, but it would also damage the Taoist foundation, create a mysterious illusion, and cause qi deviation. Eventually, his cultivation would drop and even his life would be in danger. The most important thing was that the spirit-seizing herb's power was invisible and intangible. If it was integrated into the tribulation-breaking pill, perhaps only a true saint could distinguish it. Ling Xiao was very sensitive to this kind of heterogeneous real qi because he had cultivated the sky-devouring secret skill and the sky-shrouding secret skill. That was why he could detect it. A ninth revolution half-saint wouldn't be able to detect it at all. No wonder Ji Chen and Yun Yang dared to come to the War God Elixir Pavilion to find trouble. They wanted to completely destroy the reputation of the tribulation-breaking pill. Boy, don't waste time. There's a problem with your tribulation-breaking pill. I think the War God Elixir Pavilion should be closed down. Ji Chen sneered impatiently. If you say there's a problem, then there's a problem. Who knows if you did something to it? Gao Yang suppressed the anger in his heart. He couldn't wait to slap Ji Chen and Yun Yang to death right now. However, he could only suppress his anger at this moment because it involved the reputation of the tribulation-breaking pill. There's no need to argue. How about this? We'll find a person on the spot and let him consume the tribulation-breaking pill directly. Whether or not he will suffer qi deviation, everyone will know at a glance. Ling Xiao looked at Ji Chen and Yun Yang calmly. Find a person on the spot to consume the tribulation-breaking pill. That's a good idea, but you have to use the tribulation-breaking pill that we bought. Who knows if the War God Elixir Pavilion's tribulation-breaking pill has been tampered with? These few tribulation-breaking pills were all purchased from your War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. These few pills are the ones with the real problem. Ji Chen sneered. Then who knows if you tampered with them after you bought them back? We can use the tribulation-breaking pill that you bought, but I have to check it first. Chapter 17-18. No problem. Feel free to check. These few breaking calamity elixir pills were purchased from the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. How about this? You don't have to find anyone else. Just let my subordinate test the pills. Young Master Yun Yang smiled faintly, his face full of confidence. The spirit-stealing force in the breaking calamity elixir had been planted by his master. Even a ninth revolution half-saint couldn't detect it. Naturally, he didn't think that Ling Xiao would be able to detect it. If the breaking calamity elixir seal pavilion was found to have a problem, it would be a fatal blow to the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. Only then would he be able to achieve his unspeakable goal. However, let's make this clear first. If there is no problem with the breaking calamity elixir seal pavilion, we will naturally apologize. However, if there is a problem with the breaking calamity elixir seal pavilion, you will compensate me for my loss. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Young Master Yun Yang's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. You want the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion? You sure talk big. I'm afraid this is your true goal, right? Ling Xiao said nonchalantly with a hint of mockery in his eyes. It turned out that their true goal was the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. Ling Xiao guessed that the mastermind behind the plot against the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion wasn't Ji Chen, but young Master Yun Yang. This way, not only would the breaking calamity elixir be discredited, but it would also deal a blow to the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. At the same time, it would also publicize the Elixir Seal Mountain. This was a good plan to kill 4 birds with 1 stone. Could it be that you don't dare? It seems like there is indeed a problem with the breaking calamity elixir seal pavilion. Your Highness, Prince 19, let the Zhou Tian guards close the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. Young Master Yun Yang sneered as he tried to provoke Ling Xiao. Who says we don't dare? All right. I promise you that if there is a problem with the breaking calamity elixir seal pavilion, the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion will compensate you. Ling Xiao seemed to be angered by young Master Yun Yang as he spoke coldly. Senior brother, don't be rash. How can the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion compensate him? This is extortion. They must have tampered with the breaking calamity elixir. The White Crane immediately became anxious and said hurriedly. Long. Are you confident to do it? Ni Shang glanced at Ling Xiao and said telepathically. Trust me. Ling Xiao's voice was filled with confidence. Great. Ni Shang nodded. Although Gao Yang and Wu Xiong had their doubts, they didn't say anything when they saw that Ni Shang had agreed. After all, it was just a battle god elixir seal pavilion. If they really lost to Yun Yang, they could just kill these two bastards. But in that case, they would definitely not be able to enter the Musashi Mountain. Even if you agree, how do I know that you have the right to make the decision? Yun Yang sneered. I am Ni Shang. I can guarantee that if there really is a problem with the tribulation-breaking pill, the war god pill seal pavilion will belong to you. A light flashed in Ni Shang's hand, and the god of war token appeared in front of everyone. Nikhang. She. Could she be the holy maiden of the war god temple, Nikhang? As expected, he's peerless and extraordinary. Someone couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The Ni Shang saintess was famous throughout the entire god realm. Now that they had finally seen her, everyone had a kind of unreal feeling. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. So it's the Ni Shang saintess. I've been disrespectful. Since the Ni Shang saintess has spoken, I naturally believe you. Yun Yang's eyes became brighter. His gaze was filled with undisguised passion as he looked at Ni Shang. Ni Shang's white clothes fluttered in the wind. Her appearance was extremely beautiful, her skin was whiter than snow, and her temperament was extraordinary. Although she concealed part of her aura, it was still extremely breathtaking. When she and Ji Feishuan stood together, they were like a pair of peerless prides, making people feel relaxed and happy. If it's proven that there's a problem with the tribulation-breaking pill, the war god pill seal pavilion will naturally compensate you. But if it's proven that there's no problem with the tribulation-breaking pill, you have to kneel down and kowtow to apologize. Is that okay? Ling Xiao said plainly as he stared at Ji Chen and Yun Yang. How dare you? Ji Chen's gaze turned cold. Ling Xiao actually wanted them to kneel down and kowtow to apologize. This was something that he absolutely couldn't tolerate. Yun Yang's gaze also revealed a trace of coldness. If they really kneeled down and kowtowed to apologize, then he and Ji Chen would be considered finished. Not only would they never be able to raise their heads again, but their Dao heart would definitely be damaged. It might even be possible that they wouldn't be able to advance even an inch in their lifetime. What? Could it be that you think that my war god elixir seal pavilion can't compare to the two of you kowtowing to apologize? If you want to slander my war god elixir seal pavilion, then take out something of equal value. Ling Xiao sneered coldly. All right. We agree. But we have to swear on the great oath of the heart's demon. No one can violate it. Yun Yang was silent for a while. Although he was very hesitant, he still agreed in the end. This was because he believed in his master and also believed that Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to discover the power of soul seizing. Therefore, if his subordinates consumed the tribulation-breaking pill again, they would definitely suffer from qi deviation. Therefore, there was nothing that he didn't dare to agree to. No problem. Ling Xiao smiled faintly with a trace of mockery in his eyes. He was afraid that Yun Yang wouldn't dare to swear on the great oath of the heart's demon. He didn't expect Yun Yang to court death. Daring to covet the war god elixir seal pavilion, daring to find trouble with the war god temple, and daring to slander the reputation of the tribulation-breaking pill. This wasn't something that Ji Chen and Yun Yang could do. There was probably a mastermind behind this. Ling Xiao wanted to tell them that the war god temple couldn't be easily humiliated. If they dared to use the war god temple to establish their prestige, then they would have to pay a price that was 10 or 100 times the price. Buzz. Ling Xiao, Ni Shang, Ji Chen, and Yun Yang all swore on the great oath of the heart's demon. Two mysterious runes flashed in the void and disappeared into the void. Instantly, they felt a force of law descending from the unseen world. That was the power of the great oath of the heart's demon. Anyone who dared to violate it would suffer a backlash. Everyone was a little excited. On the surface, it looked like a bet, but in reality, it was a competition between the War God Temple, the Great Zhou Divine Nation, and the Elixir Seal Mountain. Whether the war god temple would be chased out of the divine capital city or the great Zhou divine nation and the elixir seal mountain would end up defeated would depend on the result of the pill test. There were still 3 tribulation-breaking pills in Yun Yang's hand. The 3 tribulation-breaking pills were enshrouded in a dense purple light. They were dazzling, like 3 gorgeous divine suns. Furthermore, they exuded a mysterious fragrance that would invigorate anyone who smelled it. No one dared to believe that there was a problem with the tribulation-breaking pills. Ling Xiao took the tribulation-breaking pills under the watchful eyes of Ji Chen and Yun Yang. After carefully inspecting it, he found that there was indeed a spirit-stealing power in the tribulation-breaking pills. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He placed the tribulation-breaking pills one by one into a jade bottle. A purple light flashed in his palm and merged with the light of the tribulation-breaking pills. Ji Chen and Yun Yang didn't notice it. These are the tribulation-breaking pills of my war god elixir seal pavilion. Give them to your subordinates. Ling Xiao said calmly. Chapter 17-19. Ji Chen and Yun Yang looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts. Their eyes revealed a cold sneer. Both of them had been keeping a close eye on Ling Xiao's hands. After all, the tribulation-breaking pills had been tampered with. If they had been careless and allowed Ling Xiao to swap them out, it would have been a huge joke. Fortunately, Ling Xiao hadn't discovered the problem with the tribulation-breaking pills and hadn't had the chance to swap them out. Lu De, swallow these 3 tribulation-breaking pills. Don't worry, even if you suffer from qi deviation, I can still save your life. After this, I will ask Master for a Tao Comprehension divine pill to help you recover. Young Master Yun Yang said as he threw the 3 tribulation-breaking pills to the black-robed middle-aged man. Although Lu De was young Master Yun Yang's subordinate, the scene of him suffering from qi deviation after taking the tribulation-breaking pills was still vivid in his mind. He didn't want to experience that again, but since young Master Yun Yang had spoken, he had to obey. Even if he were to die now, he wouldn't refuse. Yes. Young Master. Lu De said through gritted teeth. His eyes were full of sorrow. Just one tribulation-breaking pill had caused him to suffer from qi deviation and drop a level. If he swallowed these 3 tribulation-breaking pills, he might even fall to the Divine King realm. Lu De took the 3 tribulation-breaking pills, sat down cross-legged, and swallowed them all in one gulp. Everyone looked at Lu De, wanting to see if the tribulation-breaking pills could really cause one to suffer from qi deviation as young Master Yun Yang had said. 3 tribulation-breaking pills. If there's really a problem, won't he die from eating them? Some people's eyes were filled with bewilderment. It's hard to say. If there's really a problem with the tribulation-breaking pills, let's attack together and smash this bullshit war god elixir seal pavilion. Someone mustered up the courage to say. I hope there's nothing wrong with the tribulation-breaking pills. Otherwise, my father will break my legs. I bought a lot of tribulation-breaking pills for him here. Who knows? These shops are all unscrupulous merchants. The War God Elixir Seal Pavilion is backed by the War God Temple. Even if the pills are fake, what can you do to them? Young Master Yun Yang of Pill Talisman Mountain is speaking up for justice. I heard that the Pill Talisman Treasure Pavilion on Pill Talisman Mountain will be opening soon. When the time comes, let's go there to buy pills. However, most of them agreed with Yun Yang's words from the bottom of their hearts. Perhaps there really was a problem with the tribulation-breaking pill. Ling Xiao watched coldly from the sidelines. He was even more furious at the mastermind behind this. Rumble. After Lu De swallowed the 3 pills, the tremendous medicinal effects immediately exploded in his body. His presence began to slowly strengthen, and his pores began to emit resplendent light. Not only could the tribulation-breaking pill transform the tribulation chi into vitality, but it also contained a vast amount of saint energy that could help a half-saint to break through. When Ling Xiao was inspecting the breaking calamity pill, he used the sky-shrouding secret technique to conceal his movements. He also injected a strand of devouring chi into the breaking calamity pill, so Ji Chen and Yun Yin didn't notice it. However, when Luda swallowed the 3 breaking calamity pills, the heaven-devouring chi erupted and devoured the spirit-stealing power within the pills. It also dissolved the spirit-stealing power and the various toxins that had been lurking within Luda's body. Luda's cultivation was originally at the 3rd revolution half-saint realm. However, because of the breaking calamity pill, his cultivation dropped by 1 level. At this moment, the tremendous medicinal effects of the 3 breaking calamity pills erupted, and his presence instantly skyrocketed. Boom! Like an unstoppable volcanic eruption, Luda's presence skyrocketed rapidly. Soon, he regained his 3rd revolution half-saint realm. What? Everyone was shocked and somewhat dumbfounded. They were all waiting for Luda to enter a state of Qigong deviation, but instead, Luda became vigorous. His presence was incomparably strong, and there was no sign of him weakening. Could it be that there was really no problem with the breaking calamity pill? Everyone looked at Ji Chen and Yun Yang suspiciously. Ji Chen's face was a little embarrassed. He transmitted a message to Yun Yang, "Young Master Yun Yang, what's wrong with Luda? How did he regain his 3rd revolution half-saint realm cultivation? Could it be that the breaking calamity pill was swapped by Long Outyen? Absolutely impossible." Young Master Yun Yang's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. He said confidently, "I'm afraid this is only the effect of the breaking calamity pill. Long Outyen couldn't have swapped the breaking calamity pill because the breaking calamity pill's power is still there. I can feel it very clearly. Let's wait and see." With the breaking calamity pill's power, Luda will soon enter a state of Qigong deviation. Alright. I keep feeling that Long Outyen is a little strange. Ji Chen nodded and said. Rumble. The aura around Luda's body grew stronger and stronger. The 3 breaking calamity pills contained boundless energy. In addition, Ling Xiao had injected a trace of heaven-devouring energy into the pills. It was as if the 3 pills had been completely activated. Luda quickly recovered his full strength and reached the peak of the 3rd revolution half-saint realm. Luda was originally at the peak of the 3rd revolution half-saint realm. He had been stuck at the 4th revolution half-saint realm for many years. In fact, even he didn't know that the breaking calamity pill would cause him to suffer from qi deviation. The breaking calamity pill's power was a secret that only young Master Yun Yang knew. But now, not only had Luda recovered to the peak of the 3rd revolution half-saint realm, but his bottleneck had also loosened under the effect of the 3 breaking calamity pills. He was about to break through to the 4th revolution half-saint realm. Oh no! Why is there really no problem with the breaking calamity pill? But if I break through to the 4th revolution half-saint realm, young Master Yun Yang won't let me off. No, I can't break through. I must suffer from qi deviation. Lu Da's heart suddenly trembled. He seemed to have thought of something. It was as if a basin of cold water had been poured over him. He was young Master Yun Yang's subordinate, so he knew how vicious young Master Yun Yang's methods were. If he really ruined young Master Yun Yang's plans, young Master Yun Yang would definitely not let him off. Rumble. However, it was already impossible for Luda to stop even if he wanted to. The majestic medicinal strength of the 3 tribulation breaking pills contained an unparalleled power, pushing his cultivation to erupt like a volcano. His entire body was emitting a mysterious aura, the nirvana tribulation had been triggered. The vitality in his body began to weaken. His physical body, primordial spirit, and saint energy were all weakening. He was about to enter the state of returning to the void. If he could survive the nirvana tribulation, he would live. If he couldn't, he would die. If Luda forcefully suppressed his cultivation now, it would be no different from courting death. Chapter 1720. What? The Battle Hall Master. Ling Zhao's words stunned Luda. The 9 branches of the War God Hall were famous. Who didn't know of them? However, the heads of the 9 branches were all sages. How could this young man be the Battle Hall Master? However, Luda also knew that he had no other choice. If he rejected, he would probably die in the nirvana tribulation. He might as well take a gamble and find a way to survive. Lu De made up his mind and ignored everything else. He focused on refining the power of the tribulation-breaking pills. The aura around him became more mysterious and ethereal. The fourth nirvana tribulation was about to erupt. Lu De had been in the third revolution half-saint realm for more than 1,000 years. He had accumulated a lot of experience. It wasn't difficult for him to break through to the fourth revolution half-saint realm. Now, with the power of the three tribulation-breaking pills, Lu De went all out. He forgot about everything and began his fourth nirvana tribulation. However, the surrounding people didn't know about Lu Da's situation. They only saw that Lu De was in the second revolution half-saint realm. In the blink of an eye, he recovered to the third revolution half-saint realm and reached the peak. He even attracted the fourth nirvana tribulation. Three tribulation-breaking pills actually allowed Lu De to break through 2 realms. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out. Oh my god, 3 tribulation-breaking pills actually allowed this fellow to break through 2 realms. The tribulation-breaking pills of the War God Pill Talisman Pavilion are really amazing. I think there's really no problem with the tribulation-breaking pills. Otherwise, this fellow would have already gone mad. Some people began to get excited, and their eyes revealed an incomparably fervent look. If the tribulation-breaking pill really had such a miraculous effect and there were no problems at all, everyone could imagine that the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion's tribulation-breaking pill would be priceless. They wouldn't be able to buy it even if they wanted to. There's really no problem. I've already said that there's really no problem with the tribulation-breaking pills of the War God Pill Talisman Pavilion. Bai he cried tears of joy. His eyes were filled with excitement. Chen Xian's departure meant that he was under a lot of pressure. He valued the reputation of the War God Pill Talisman Pavilion more than his life. Now, he could finally heave a sigh of relief. He didn't let the old pavilion master down. Martial Granduncle, well done. Gao Yang, Wu Xiong, and Ni Shang glanced at Ling Xiao. Gao Yang winked and smiled, then transmitted his voice. The 3 of them were not stupid. Naturally, they had guessed that there was definitely something wrong with the tribulation-breaking pill. However, they had not discovered it. Ling Xiao had discovered it and had even conveniently solved the problem. That was why the current situation had occurred. Ji Chen and Yun Yang finally couldn't sit still. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Young Master Yun Yang, didn't you say that you have the power to seize souls? Why didn't the spirit-seizing power take effect and instead allowed Lu De to break through? Ji Chen said anxiously. How would I know? The spirit-seizing power was left behind by Master. It was impossible for ordinary people to neutralize it. This Chinda actually dared to spoil my plans? Damn it! Young Master Yunyang's eyes flashed with a trace of cold-killing intent as he spoke in a somewhat angry tone. Is this Long Outyan's doing? Ji Chen asked. It's possible. It seems that when he examined the breaking calamity pill just now, he hid it from us. I don't know what method he used to dissolve the spirit-seizing power of the breaking calamity pill. Long Outyan? Who is he? Young Master Yunyang said with some uncertainty. Young Master Yunyang, what should we do? If we lose, do we really have to kneel down and kowtow to them in apology? Most importantly, what about the treasure below the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion? Ji Chen's expression was extremely ugly. There was a trace of unwillingness in his eyes. What can we do? How would I know? However, if he wants me to kowtow to him in apology, does he even deserve it? Anyway, our great oath of the heart demon is very general and there is no time limit. We might as well agree and just say that we will fulfill the great oath of the heart demon in a few days. I have a treasure that can temporarily suppress the power of the great oath of the heart demon. These people from the War God Temple deserve to die. Young Master Yunyang's face was a little distorted. There was a trace of pain in his eyes. He finally understood what it meant to go for wool and come home shorn. This was a huge loss. The treasure that could suppress the great oath of the heart demon was extremely precious. However, because of Long Outyen, he could only waste it here. Boom! Lu Da's body glowed with resplendent light as the profound and mysterious Great Tao laws descended. He sat cross-legged in the middle of complete Sky Street as he underwent his fourth nirvana tribulation under the watchful eyes of the crowd. However, the final result was more daunting than dangerous. When Lu Da opened his eyes, a powerful aura erupted from his body. His cultivation had finally reached the fourth revolution half-saint realm. Young Master Yunyang, with your tribulation-breaking pill, your subordinates have now proven that there is no problem with the tribulation-breaking pill of the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. What else do you have to say? Ling Xiao looked at Ji Chen and Yunyang as he spoke. Ji Chen and Yunyang's expressions were extremely ugly. Their eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. Buzz! An ancient talisman appeared in young Master Yunyang's palm. In an instant, it turned into two talismans and disappeared into his and Ji Chen's body. The two of them were shrouded in a layer of mysterious aura. Humph. There is indeed no problem with the tribulation-breaking pill. We were wrong. Lu Da, let's go. Young Master Yunyang glanced coldly at Ling Xiao. However, Lu Da stood motionless beside Ling Xiao as if he hadn't heard young Master Yunyang's words. Lu Da. Why aren't you getting your ass over here? Young Master Yunyang's gaze turned cold as he berated Lu Da. Young Master, Lu Da was greatly indebted to young Master Long and was only able to break through to the fourth revolution half-saint realm. Therefore, Lu Da has already decided to follow young Master Long. Please forgive me. Lu Da looked at young Master Yunyang and gritted his teeth. Since he had already offended young Master Yunyang, it was only natural for him to hold on tightly to Ling Xiao's thigh. What? Lu Da, you are courting death. Young Master Yunyang's expression suddenly changed. A trace of cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes as his anger soared. He had never imagined that his subordinate would betray him after breaking through to the fourth revolution half-saint realm and seek refuge with Ling Xiao. This was simply a slap to his face. The expressions of the surrounding people also became extremely strange. What was going on? Young Master Yunyang's subordinate, Lu Da, had actually betrayed him and sought refuge with Ling Xiao. This was too dramatic. Young Master Yunyang, Ji Chen, I think you have both forgotten the great oath of the heart demon. Do you need me to remind you? Kneel down and kowtow to apologize immediately. As for Lu Da, he is now a member of the Combat God Temple. He has nothing to do with you. Chapter 1721. Of course, we won't forget the Great Heart Demon Oath. In a few days, we will come to apologize and fulfill the bet. Let's go. Young Master Yunyang's eyes were extremely gloomy. He looked coldly at Ling Xiao and Lu Da and was about to leave the War God Elixir Talisman Pavilion with Ji Chen. Are you guys trying to go back on your words? Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as he smiled faintly. Boom! Ni Shang, Wu Xiong, Gao Yang, and Ji Feishuan emitted a powerful aura and blocked young Master Yunyang and Ji Chen. Their eyes were filled with coldness. These guys dared to behave atrociously in the War God Elixir Talisman Pavilion. Now that Ling Xiao exposed their scheme, they wanted to escape. How could it be so easy? Everyone was dumbfounded. No one expected young Master Yunyang and Ji Chen to be so shameless. They forgot what they said in the blink of an eye. They had no intention of fulfilling the bet at all. Looks like young Master Yunyang and His Highness Ji Chen don't intend to fulfill the bet. Aren't they afraid of the Great Heart Demon Oath? Hee, what's the big deal about the Great Heart Demon Oath? Since they dared to go back on their words, they must have a way to resist the Great Heart Demon Oath. If they really kowtowed and apologized, then they would really lose a lot of face. Whether it's the Elixir Talisman Mountain or the Great Zhou Divine Nation, they can't afford to lose so much face. Too shameless. Looks like the so-called tribulation-breaking pill can cause one to go berserk is just nonsense. Everyone was secretly discussing with ridicule in their eyes. They despised young Master Yunyang and Ji Chen's character. Get out of the way. Long Out Yen, I said that we would come to fulfill our promise in a few days. There is no problem with the tribulation-breaking pill. We were wrong. Do you really think you can keep us here with just the few of you? Ji Qin sneered, his eyes full of disdain. This was the divine capital, the home ground of the great Zhou divine nation. So what if they were disciples of the war god temple? Ji Qin didn't care about Ling Xiao and the others at all. He wanted to leave with young Master Yunyang. Go, my ass. You two despicable dogs dare to behave atrociously in my war god elixir talisman pavilion? I've tolerated you for a long time. Gao Yang's temper was the most fiery, and he couldn't hold it in any longer. With a loud roar, a violent aura erupted from his body, and he suddenly pounced on Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang. He hadn't made a move before because he was afraid that it would affect the reputation of the Battle God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. Now that Ling Xiao had clarified everything and proved that there was no problem with the tribulation-breaking pill, Gao Yang couldn't help but make a move. The skinny old man behind Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang instantly appeared in front of Gao Yang like a ghost. A black ancient sword appeared in his hand and stabbed toward Gao Yang's forehead like a venomous snake. It was silent and terrifying. Scram! Gao Yang's eyes were burning with rage. He swung his palm and a blazing flame gushed out from his palm. It was like a resplendent sun that contained the power to incinerate everything. It directly slapped towards the skinny old man. As soon as Gao Yang made his move, a terrifying power erupted from his body without any reservation. It was like an erupting volcano. In an instant, a vast aura descended and shrouded the entire area. Seventh Revolution Half-Saint. The skinny old man trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect Gao Yang's cultivation to be so terrifying. At this moment, when he attacked with all his strength, he felt his scalp tingle and his body tremble as if he was on the verge of death. Boom! What Gao Yang used was the Burning Sky Saint technique. That resplendent sun was formed from the true meaning of the Great Tao. It directly burned the black ancient sword until it turned red. Then, it ruthlessly slammed into the skinny old man's chest. Puff! The old man's cultivation was only at the 6th Revolution Half-Saint realm. How could he resist Gao Yang's furious attack? Suddenly, his chest caved in, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly weakened. Gao Yang didn't even look at the old man. His eyes were burning with rage as he directly pounced on young Master Yunyang and Ji Chen. I'm the 19th prince of the great Zhou divine nation. If you dare to touch me, you won't be able to walk out of divine capital. Ji Chen's eyes revealed a trace of fear, and he roared in a threatening manner. Yunyang's face also changed greatly. He said with an ugly expression, "Does the war god temple really want to be enemies with my pill talisman mountain? We've already backed down. What else do you want? With trash like you?" Gao Yang sneered, and his eyes were full of contempt. Boom! He grabbed Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang as if they were chickens, then he began to slap them with both hands like a violent storm. Smack! 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 A crisp sound rang out. Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang's handsome faces swelled up in an instant. The two of them were stunned by Gao Yang's slap. When they came to their senses, they were trembling with anger. Their faces were distorted, and their eyes were filled with shame and indignation. You! I'll kill you, Ji Chen shouted angrily. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was slapped back by Gao Yang. He was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. You want to kill me? Just based on you two pieces of trash. Go and cultivate for another 10,000 years. Gao Yang sneered as he slapped Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang several hundred more times. Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang were almost dumbfounded. Boom! In the end, Gao Yang slapped Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang, causing them to kneel in front of Ling Xiao and Enai Shang. Their knees were instantly shattered, and their faces were swollen like pig heads. They no longer dared to show any signs of viciousness. All that was left was deep fear. The two of them were completely stunned by Gao Yang's attack. Aren't these disciples of the War God Temple too ruthless? This isn't the War God Temple. This is the Sky Capital. Aren't they afraid that the Great Zhou Divine Nation and Pill Talisman Mountain will take revenge? Everyone was shocked and looked at Gao Yang, Ling Xiao, and the others with reverence. Young Master Yunyang and Ji Qin deserve it. Who told them to behave so atrociously in the War God Temple's Pill Talisman Pavilion? However, these disciples of the War God Temple must be here to participate in the Martial Hidden Mountain. It will be difficult for them to enter the Martial Hidden Mountain after beating up Prince 19. Someone said slowly. Ling Xiao stared at Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang, who were kneeling in front of him, and said calmly, I won't kill you today, but that doesn't mean that I won't kill. If there's a next time, even if the Heavenly Emperor comes, he will die. Get lost. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he didn't even look at the two of them and walked into the War God Temple's Pill Talisman Pavilion with Enai Shang, Gao Yang, Bai He, and the rest. Ah! Ji Chen roared at the sky. His body was trembling, and his eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Chapter 1722. The Battle God Elixir Pavilion became famous this time. Gao Yang taught Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang a lesson, which attracted the attention of the entire Sky Capital. No one knew if it was because the Great Zhou Divine Country and Mount Elixir Talisman were in the wrong, but no one dared to cause trouble for the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion anymore. The news of what had happened in the Universal Sky Street had spread throughout the Heaven Capital. Luda had taken 3 breaking calamity pills, and had directly advanced from the 2nd revolution to the 4th revolution of the Half-Saint realm. This had shocked everyone, and everyone was wild with joy. The breaking calamity pill had become the best-selling medicinal pill in the War God Danfu Pavilion. Countless experts had lined up to buy the breaking calamity pills. The breaking calamity pill was already very expensive. This time, the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion made a fortune. It was imaginable that they would be rich in the future. The breaking calamity pill became the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion's signature item. And all of this was thanks to Ji Chen and young Master Yunyang. The Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion's door was repaired and looked more imposing than before. Bai He's face was full of smiles when he saw countless people pouring into the pavilion. On the 5th floor of the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion. This old man greets Long, Martial Uncle, Saintess, and the 2 saints. I didn't expect something like this to happen in the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion just a few days after I left. This old man is deeply ashamed. Chen Xian was an old man with white hair and beard. He looked hale and hearty. Not only was he the pavilion master of the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion, but he was also a powerful god-grade alchemist. The breaking calamity pill was refined by him. Chen Xian bowed to Ling Xiao, Enai Shang, and the others with a bitter smile on his face. Pavilion Master Chen, you don't need to be so courteous. You have also been lured away by those scoundrels. They want you to leave the Battle God Elixir Talisman Pavilion to achieve their goal. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as he spoke coldly. Chen Xian had already explained the reason why he left the Battle God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. It turned out that a few days ago, someone had discovered the whereabouts of the Hades King flower outside Tiandu City. Chen Xian immediately felt as if he had obtained a priceless treasure. He brought several protectors of the Battle God Alchemy Seal Pavilion to search for the Hades King flower. He didn't expect that after he left, such a thing would happen in the Battle God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. Grand. Martial Uncle Long, our War God Elixir Seal Pavilion is just a slightly more prosperous place. Why would Ji Chen and Yun Yang want to take over the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion? Chen Xian was already so old, so it was still a little difficult for him to address Ling Xiao as Grand Master Ling Xiao. That's what puzzles me as well. Their ultimate goal is the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion, which means that the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion has something that they must obtain. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and finally landed on Luda. Luda had already thoroughly offended Yunyang. Now that he had sided with Ling Xiao, he naturally wanted to make a contribution and let Ling Xiao see his value. When he saw Ling Xiao looking at him, he immediately said, "Young Master Long, although Yun Yang and Ji Chen are very tight-lipped, I once overheard that the reason why they wanted to take the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion is because there's something under the pavilion." "Underground? What is it?" Ling Xiao, Ni Sheng, Chen Xian, and the rest couldn't help but ask as their eyes lit up. "I'm not very sure either. I only vaguely heard them say that." Lu De shook his head. "That explains it all. No matter what treasures, relics, or even cave abodes are under the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion, if they want to obtain it, they must first have the pavilion in their hands." Ling Xiao said slowly. "I thought of it too. Previously, a mysterious person contacted me and said that he was interested in the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion and wanted to buy it at a high price. However, I didn't agree." Chen Xian suddenly said with a trace of coldness in his eyes. "It seems that if he's not from the Great Zhou Divine Nation, then he's from the Pill Talisman Mountain. Since the treasure is under the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion, then it belongs to the War God Hall. Ji Chen and Yun Yang, those two scumbags, are really reckless." Gao Yang sneered. "No matter what, let's first investigate and see what's under the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion," Ling Xiao said finally. No one said anything and the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion continued to operate. However, in just one day, the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion had sold out all the tribulation-breaking pills that had been in the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion for the past few years. Many of the servants and stewards in the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion were very excited and looked at Ling Xiao with reverence. They clearly saw what happened during the day. It was because of Ling Xiao that the crisis was resolved and the tribulation-breaking pills became famous, causing the entire divine capital to explode. At night, Ling Xiao directly used the Flipping Sky Seal to suppress and activated the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion's array to isolate all auras and probing. He was prepared to see what was under the ground. The ground under the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion was made of hard mountain rocks, but it couldn't escape the senses of Ling Xiao and Ni Sheng's consciousness. They even probed down to 100,000 feet below but still found nothing. "There's nothing. That's strange." Chen Xian's eyes were filled with doubt. Everyone could clearly sense that there was nothing under the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. The thing that Ji Chen and Yun Yang are looking for can't be deep underground. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to obtain the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion. They could just dig down from the side. Ling Xiao nodded. His senses were extremely sharp, but he also didn't find anything. "Long Outyen, I once heard of a legend, but that was 1,000,000 years ago. I'm afraid very few people know about it now." Ji Feishuan suddenly said. "What legend?" Ling Xiao asked. "Legend has it that the ancestor of the Great Zhou Divine Nation was a peerlessly talented Supreme Emperor. However, too much time had passed, and the bloodline of the Ji clan was cut off. The Emperor clan bloodline couldn't continue, so in the end, it was reduced to a mere divine nation. However, when the Great Zhou Divine Nation was first established, the Crown Prince unintentionally awakened a powerful bloodline. However, he couldn't control the power contained in the bloodline, causing him to go crazy and slaughter tens of thousands of his own clan. When the Crown Prince woke up, he was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. In order not to harm his own clan, legend has it that he committed suicide in a secret place in the divine capital. From then on, he completely disappeared. Later on, the experts of the Ji clan believed that the Crown Prince might have awakened the Emperor clan bloodline. Ji Feishuan said slowly. "You're saying that, the War God Alchemy Seal Pavilion might be the place where the Crown Prince committed suicide? This is too unbelievable." Gao Yang couldn't help but exclaim. "It's very likely. Legend has it that the place where the Crown Prince committed suicide was like a mustard seed. Even the sages who came to the divine capital didn't find any traces." Ji Feishuan said. Chapter 1723. Naxami is like a mustard seed. If that's the case, the Crown Prince must have a profound understanding of the law of space. No one has been able to find him for millions of years. It seems like this place is hidden very well. Let's search again. Ling Xiao said slowly. If even a sage couldn't find it, it would be difficult for them to find it as well. However, if what Ji Feishuan said was true, the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion was definitely not simple. It might really be the place where the Crown Prince committed suicide. While Ling Xiao and the rest were searching the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion, Ji Chen and Yun Yang came to a secret chamber together. The secret chamber was located in the middle of a mountain. It looked very secluded, but there seemed to be a sea of blood in the secret chamber. Streams of blood qi intertwined, containing extremely terrifying fluctuations. In the middle of the sea of blood, a blood-red flame rose as if it could burn everything. An old man in a blood-red robe sat cross-legged in it, exuding an aura that made one's heart tremble. After seeing the old man in the blood-red robe, Yun Yang and Ji Chen bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, Master." The old man in the blood-red robe had reached the peak of the 9th Revolution half-saint realm. He was also an extremely powerful alchemist in the Elixir Seal Mountain, Shui Yuanzi. No one would have thought that Ji Chen and Yun Yang were actually fellow disciples. "You shouldn't have provoked Enai Shang. Enai Shang, Gao Yang, and Wu Xiong, are the 3 holy sons of the War God Temple all here?" The old man in the blood-red robe slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of evil light flickering in his eyes, which made Yun Yang and Ji Chen's hearts tremble. "Master. We didn't expect the 3 holy sons of the War God Temple to come to Tian capital. We were about to get the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion. Who would have thought that such an accident would happen?" Ji Chen said with an ugly expression. "Yes, Master. That Long Out Yen is too despicable. He actually managed to neutralize the soul-stealing power that you left in the tribulation-breaking pill. Even I was fooled." Yun Yang said with a wry smile. "Long Out Yen? Do you know who he is?" Shui Yuanzi said faintly. "Who is he?" "He seems to be a First Revolution half-saint. He's probably just a prototype of the War God Temple." Yun Yang and Ji Chen said doubtfully. "Big mistake. Long Out Yen is the master of the Battle Hall. The ultimate treasure of the Battle God Hall, the flipping sky seal, is in his hands." Blood-red flames seemed to shoot out from Shui Yuanzi's eyes. "What? He controls the cyclic sky seal?" Ji Chen and Yun Yang looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. After all, the masters of the 9 lineages of the War God Hall were all famous in the world. Almost all of them were Sage Wei realm experts. They had never imagined that the cyclic sky seal, which no one in the War God Hall had recognized as its master for 1,000,000 years, would actually fall into Ling Xiao's hands. There's no need to doubt this news. However, the Battle Hall Master and the 3 holy princes of the Battle God Temple are here, so we must investigate this matter. Ji Chen, you must find out who sent them. If I'm not mistaken, they will be the biggest obstacle to you obtaining the life secret technique." Blood Yuanzi said slowly. "Yes. Master, what about the secret realm below the War God Pill Seal Pavilion? If I can get the Divine Reflection Crown Prince's monarch bloodline, I'll definitely be able to obtain the complete life secret art from Mount Musashi." Ji Chen said unwillingly. "It doesn't matter. It's not that easy for them to find the secret realm. They don't even have the key to open it. How are they going to open it?" Blood Yuanzi said nonchalantly. Boom! Suddenly, the bloody light around Blood Yuanzi bloomed as if there were bloody lotuses floating in the air. They were mysterious and unfathomable, vaguely revealing an extremely strange world. What? How are they able to find the place where the Divine Reflection Crown Prince committed suicide? Blood Yuanzi's expression changed drastically, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Whoosh! Blood light flickered all over his body. In an instant, an incomparably powerful void fluctuation was emitted in the void. Shui Yuanzi disappeared from the secret chamber in an instant. Ji Chen and Yun Yang looked at each other and saw the same disbelief in each other's eyes. This was because they had heard Blood Yuanzi's words. The place where the divine reflection crown prince committed suicide had actually been opened. War God Pill Seal Pavilion. A dazzling door of light appeared in front of Ling Xiao and the others. It exuded a mysterious and vast fluctuation as if it contained an unknown world. Ji Feishuan's glabella emitted a dazzling light and formed a mysterious connection with the door of light, causing the surrounding void to tremble slightly. Ling Xiao and the others looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Initially, they had checked countless times and found nothing strange. However, they did not expect Ji Feishuan's glabella to suddenly emit light and gather all the blood qi in her glabella, unintentionally opening the door of light in front of them. I can feel that this should be the place where the crown prince committed suicide. Ji Feishuan said slowly with a strange look in her eyes. Could it be because of your bloodline? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he suddenly thought of a possibility. According to what Ji Feishuan said, the crown prince had the bloodline of the great emperor in his body. However, he eventually went crazy because he could not control the bloodline of the great emperor and killed countless people. In the end, he chose to commit suicide. The key to opening the place of suicide was the bloodline of the great emperor. Ji Feishuan had unintentionally activated the vast bloodline power in her body in the Sea of Enlightenment in the Void Saint world. An invincible great empress had even appeared. Ling Xiao even suspected that Ji Feishuan had completely activated the bloodline of the great emperor, which was why she could trigger the place of suicide. This was the only explanation that could explain everything that was happening in front of them. Let's go. Let's go in and take a look. In the end, Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, Ni Shang, and the others made up their minds and walked into the door of light in front of them. Rumble. Dazzling divine light bloomed in front of everyone's eyes as a chaotic mist filled the air. Everyone felt as if they had arrived at the beginning of the world. Everything was extremely primitive. In front of everyone was a chaotic void. There was no up, down, left, or right. There were no four directions. They could not even feel the passage of time and space. There was only an eternal and monotonous chaos. Swoosh! In the distance, a dazzling divine light shot up into the sky and bloomed like a heavenly pillar. In the middle of the dazzling divine light, there was an ancient tree that was covered in a faint chaotic aura. It looked real and illusory at the same time. Chapter 1724. What kind of tree is that? Gao Yang could not help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. After everyone got closer, they noticed that it was an ancient tree that was only a few meters tall. Its entire body revealed a chaotic luster, and its branches were coiled like a cage. It was vigorous and powerful, and there were numerous verdant leaves hanging on it. The green leaves looked like they were carved out of flawless green jade. They were extremely exquisite and emitted a strange luster. The leaves trembled slightly on the branches and emitted a chaotic aura. Upon closer inspection, there seemed to be a vast world hidden within the green leaf. It was incomparably mysterious. There were a total of 3,000 leaves on the ancient tree. They swayed gently as chaotic aura filled the air. It was as if 3,000 worlds were blooming in front of the crowd. A majestic aura erupted, causing their hearts to tremble. Under the ancient tree sat a young man in a dark green dragon robe and a jade crown on his head. He was about 20 years old and was extraordinarily handsome. His skin was as translucent as jade, and his eyes still shone with resplendent starlight. Even though there was no sign of life on his body anymore. Chaos, an ancient tree, and a corpse. This combination gave off an indescribable feeling of strangeness. Could this be the crown prince of the great Zhou divine nation? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He could faintly see that the young man was emitting a faint saint aura. His body was immortal and there was a mysterious fragrance. He must have been here for tens of millions of years. To be able to keep his body intact in such an environment, it seemed like this young man had already reached the sage realm when he was alive. Buzz! Ji Feishuan's glabella shone brightly as if there was a mysterious eye. At this moment, it suddenly emitted a bright light that soared into the sky and shone on the young man's body. A mysterious line seemed to have formed between the two of them. It contained an extremely mysterious fluctuation. Boom! The young man's body suddenly emitted a bright light. Mysterious nine-colored blood light spread out from his body and followed the line and slowly merged into Ji Feishuan's glabella. Ji Feishuan's white robes fluttered in the wind as the primal chaos qi filled the air. The Empress silhouette in between her eyebrows seemed to become clearer and clearer, causing Ji Feishuan to become ethereal and mysterious. An ancient, majestic, mysterious, and vast aura erupted from Ji Feishuan's body. Ling Xiao looked at Ji Feishuan in front of him. She seemed to be accepting the inheritance of that young man, but it didn't seem like it. It was extremely strange. Rumble. The primal chaos in all directions began to tremble and surrounded Ji Feishuan and the young man. The resplendent ancient tree swayed as a vast amount of vitality descended and fused with Ji Feishuan and the young man. Who would have thought that even if I killed myself here, I would still not be able to escape this fate? The young man let out a soft sigh and glanced at Ji Feishuan. His eyes were filled with helplessness and vicissitudes of life. He came back to life. The white crane shuddered and could not help but ask. Shh, don't talk. It should be a remnant soul left behind by this man. Chen Xian stopped the white crane, but his eyes were also filled with shock. Who are you? Ji Feishuan looked at the young man and asked slowly. The young man replied, I'm the God Illumination Crown Prince. The two of them seemed to have fallen into a mysterious state, one asking and the other answering, ignoring everything around them. It was as if they were conversing in a separate space and time. The God Illumination Crown Prince? The God Illumination Crown Prince from 10 million years ago when the great Zhou divine nation was at its peak? The person who was said to be as talented as the Great Void Emperor? Why did you kill yourself here? Ji Feishuan asked in shock. The Great Void Emperor? I'm not as good as him. It's a pity that I can't fight with him. That's the biggest regret of my life. Don't you know the reason why I killed myself here? The God Illumination Crown Prince said calmly. Rumor has it that you couldn't control the Great Emperor's bloodline in your body and killed hundreds of millions of your people. That's why you killed yourself here. However, I'm afraid that's not the case now. Ji Feishuan said. Couldn't control the Great Emperor's bloodline? Killed hundreds of millions of my people? If that's the case, it's not wrong. Unfortunately, even if I killed hundreds of millions of my people and sacrificed them, I still couldn't control that power. I still couldn't escape my fate. However, now that it's on you, can you break this fate? The God Illumination Crown Prince sneered. Killing hundreds of millions of your people and sacrificing them just to control the Great Emperor's bloodline? You're crazy. If that's the fate you're talking about, I'm definitely different from you. Ji Feishuan said in shock as if she had come across an unimaginable secret. You're different from me. It's still too early to say that. The so-called Great Zhou Divine Nation and the so-called Ji clan are just other people's cultivation cauldrons. I can't escape this fate, and neither can you. The God Illumination Crown Prince said as if he was mocking himself. Cultivation cauldron? Ji Feishuan, won't be anyone's cultivation cauldron. God Illumination Crown Prince, what do you know? Ji Feishuan's expression changed as she said coldly. Ji Feishuan? What a good name. Unfortunately, this is fate and a calamity. No one is an exception. Unless there's a great emperor who can change your fate, you'll never be able to escape your fate. The God Illumination Crown Prince shook his head. What do you mean? Ji Feishuan was a little anxious. Ask yourself. And ask her. You'll know the answer. I'll give you the ancient tree of life, my descendant. Although I'm filled with despair, I still hope that you can succeed. The God Illumination Crown Prince stared at Ji Feishuan's forehead with a trace of sadness in his eyes. Rumble. After the God Illumination Crown Prince finished speaking, his body shone brightly as if he had transformed into the Tao. A rain of light floated out from his body. You're. The God Illumination Crown Prince's gaze landed on Ling Xiao. His body suddenly trembled as a trace of disbelief and joy appeared in his eyes. Rumble. However, before the God Illumination Crown Prince could finish his sentence, he turned into a rain of light and merged with the ancient tree of life, causing it to become even more dazzling. What did the God Illumination Crown Prince mean by his last words? Chapter 1725. The conversation between the Divine Radiance Crown Prince and Ji Feishuan seemed to be hinting at something, but it was very vague. He only vaguely heard the words cauldron, fate, and tree of life, which made him very confused. Whoosh! The ancient tree of life instantly shone brightly and turned into a stream of light that shot into Ji Feishuan's sea of consciousness between her eyebrows and disappeared. I didn't expect it to be the legendary ancient tree of life. Ni Shang also sighed softly. The ancient tree of life was a natural spiritual root. Legend had it that it contained the power of life origin. It was a spiritual root of heaven and earth on the same level as the path understanding tree and phantom ancient tree. Legend had it that when the chaos was first created, the primal chaos ancestral tree of world gave birth to thousands of worlds and countless lives. Later on, a great war swept across thousands of worlds, causing the world tree to collapse and turn into countless natural spiritual roots. Those natural spiritual roots were incomparably precious and could almost suppress the fate of a great world. Just like the illusory demon ancient tree that gave birth to the devil race, it was the devil race's tree of life. The ancient tree of life was an innate spiritual root on the same level as the illusory demon ancient tree. Now that Ji Feishuan had obtained the ancient tree of life, everyone was shocked and envious. However, they were also very confused about the fate and cauldron that the Divine Illumination Crown Prince mentioned. Ling Xiao felt that after Ji Feishuan merged with the ancient tree of life, the aura around her became even more mysterious, and he could not see through it. Especially in Ji Feishuan's mind, the peerless empress was very lifelike, as if she would awaken at any time. Could it be the fate that the Divine Illumination Crown Prince mentioned originated from this empress? Ling Xiao was confused. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as Ji Feishuan woke up from that mysterious state. Her eyes were filled with divine light and showed a hint of confusion. Junior sister Ji, what did the Divine Illumination Crown Prince mean? Ling Xiao looked at Ji Feishuan and asked with a hint of confusion in his eyes. I'm not very sure either. However, this might be related to the bloodline of the Ji clan. I vaguely feel that perhaps I can only find out the reason after I become a saint. Ji Feishuan said slowly. Junior sister Ji, you obtained the Divine Illumination Crown Prince's bloodline, inheritance, and the ancient tree of life. Ni Shang asked. If Ji Feishuan could obtain the complete secret of life technique, there would be no need for them to enter the Martial Mountain Range. After all, it seemed like the great Zhou divine nation had many secrets and no one knew what dangers lurked in the Martial Mountain Range. The Divine Radiance Crown Prince's inheritance doesn't contain the life secret technique. If he wanted to obtain the life secret technique, he would have to make a trip to the Martial Hidden Mountain. However, with the help of the Tree of Life, my chances of obtaining the secret magics of life will naturally be much higher than others. Ji Feishuan said. The group left the place where the Crown Prince committed suicide, but there were still questions about why he did so and the power of the imperial bloodline. Perhaps only after Ji Feishuan became a saint would she have a chance to find the answers to these questions. The War God Elixir Seal Pavilion was still very quiet. With the protection of the Cyclic Sky Seal, no one knew what was going on here. Junior sister Ji, are you planning to reveal your identity? Ling Xiao asked. Those who could enter the Martial Hidden Mountain Range had to be recognized by the royal family of the Great Zhou divine nation. Once Ji Feishuan's identity was exposed, it would be unknown if she could enter the Martial Hidden Mountain Range. Ji Chufeng might even do everything he could to stop Ji Feishuan from entering the Martial Hidden Mountain Range like 1,000,000 years ago. Of course. What I have lost, I must take it back fair and square. However, I still have to wait until the Martial Hidden Mountain Range opens. Although I'm not afraid of Ji Chufeng, I don't want to implicate everyone. Ji Feishuan's eyes glowed as she spoke slowly. All right. No matter what, we will support you. Ling Xiao nodded and said. This is the leaf of the ancient tree of life. Once refined, not only will it strengthen one's life origin, but it will also be tainted with a trace of life aura. At that time, one will have a greater chance of comprehending the life secret technique. These are for everyone. Light flashed in Ji Feishuan's palm and dozens of green leaves appeared instantly. They were crystal clear and exuded a majestic life essence. Thank you, junior sister Ji. Ni Shang, Wu Xiong, and Gao Yang didn't stand on ceremony and each took a leaf. The leaf of the ancient tree of life was indeed very useful to them. Especially after reaching the high level of the half-saint realm, if one wanted to take that final step and become a saint, one would need an extremely deep accumulation of experience. Outside the elixir seal pavilion of the war god. Hidden in the darkness, Shui Yuanzi's eyes suddenly flashed, and his face turned extremely ugly. This is the aura of the ancient tree of life. They really opened the place where the divine illumination crown prince committed suicide. No, I worked so hard to find the place where the divine illumination crown prince committed suicide. How can I just give it to someone else? So what if it's the cyclic sky seal? Naturally, someone wants to deal with you. Shui Yuanzi's face was filled with unwillingness. Whether it was Ni Shang or Ling Xiao, who had the cyclic sky seal, he couldn't afford to offend them. It seemed like he had to think of another way to obtain the ancient tree of life. The War God Temple. Hee, you're just an arrow at the end of its flight. The Elixir Seal Mountain will replace the War God Temple with you guys. Shui Yuanzi glanced coldly at the Elixir Seal Pavilion of the War God before hiding in the darkness again. Is he from the Elixir Seal Mountain or the Great Zhou Divine Nation? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. His senses were extremely sharp. Although Shui Yuanzi had concealed his aura, Ling Xiao still felt a trace of prying. He couldn't help but sneer in his heart. Although the figure was very obscure, his cultivation had reached the 9th revolution half-saint realm. This also confirmed his guess that there was indeed someone behind Ji Chen and Yun Yang. However, what they didn't know was that Ling Xiao had already taken the things left behind by the divine illumination crown prince. Ling Xiao had refined a few leaves from the ancient tree of life. His originally boundless life origin had become even stronger, and his entire body was filled with exuberant vitality. It was extremely mysterious. The wordless heavenly book also seemed to like the aura of the ancient tree of life very much. Unfortunately, it contained too little power and couldn't satisfy the wordless heavenly book's needs. The next day, 2 uninvited guests came to the Elixir Seal Pavilion of the War God. Greetings, Lords of the War God Temple. His Highness has set up a prodigy banquet in the Imperial Garden. He invites all of you to attend. Chapter 1726. Who's your Highness? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked. The cultivation of this young man and woman had both reached the 1st revolution half-saint realm. Their aura was powerful, and their talent was extraordinary. Their master must be very strong to have such subordinates. The 2 of them looked respectful, but there was a kind of arrogance in their bones. My Highness is the Crown Prince, Ji Tian. The young man smiled. Crown Prince, Ji Tian. Hearing this name, Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. He had heard this name when he first came to Sky Capital. Crown Prince, Ji Tian, was a peerless talent. His cultivation had reached the 8th revolution half-saint realm. He was the holy son of the 9 imperial gates and the most promising person to obtain the secret skill of life. Who was invited to the prodigy's banquet? Ling Xiao asked. Those who are qualified to attend the prodigy's banquet are all young prodigies. They are at least 1st revolution half-saint realm. The 9 imperial gates, 5 elements saint sect, heavenly curse sect, and Pill Seal Mountain have all sent their prodigies. There are also some peerless talents from the imperial family and other kingdoms. The young man said slowly. Good. I got it. Ling Xiao nodded and said. The prodigy's banquet is tomorrow. Lords of the War God Temple, please come. I'll take my leave. The young man and woman bowed to Ling Xiao, Ni Shang, and the rest, then turned and left. Prodigy's banquet? I've heard of that Ji Tian. He's not a good person. He once killed a disciple of my War God Temple. This time, I really want to meet that bastard. Gao Yang sneered. To hold the prodigy's banquet at this time, I'm afraid that Crown Prince Ji Tian's scheme is not small. Could it be for the martial treasure mountain? Wu Xiong asked doubtfully. No matter what, he has sent the invitation. Of course, we have to go and take a look. It's a good opportunity to see the prodigies of other sects. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. The second day. The Imperial Garden was located in the Imperial City. It was also the core of the entire Sky Capital. There were all kinds of exotic flowers and strange rocks here. Dense spiritual mist filled the air, it was like a fairyland. The news of Crown Prince Ji Tian holding the prodigy's banquet had already spread throughout the entire Sky Capital. Countless geniuses were proud to be able to participate in the prodigy's banquet. However, it was a pity that the talents banquet was not for ordinary people. One had to be at least a First Revolution half-saint to be qualified to participate in the talents banquet. When Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, Ni Shang, Wu Xiong, and Gao Yang arrived at the Imperial Garden, they saw that there were already many figures in the garden. Most of them were young men and women. They were vigorous, handsome, and beautiful. All of them had confident smiles on their faces as they chatted with each other. The moment Ling Xiao's group of 5 appeared, they attracted everyone's attention. It was mainly because of Ji Feishuan and Ni Shang. One was like a graceful and luxurious peony while the other was like an otherworldly snow lotus. Their beauty and unique temperament made the hundreds of blooming flowers in the Imperial Garden pale in comparison. Their auras were too outstanding, causing many female geniuses to feel ashamed of their inferiority. Some even revealed looks of jealousy in their eyes. On the other hand, those handsome young men did not conceal the passion in their eyes as they stared at Ji Feishuan and Ni Shang. Ling Xiao stood between Ji Feishuan and Ni Shang and instantly noticed this change. He could not help but laugh bitterly in his heart. It seemed that being too beautiful was also a troublesome matter. Senior Uncle Long, you're quite lucky with women. Didn't you see the gazes of the surrounding people? They looked envious and jealous as if they couldn't wait to be the one standing between junior sister Ji and senior sister Ni Shang. Gao Yang and Wu Xiong winked and laughed as they gloated over Ling Xiao's misfortune. Junior sister Ni Shang, we meet again. Suddenly, a hearty voice was heard. A handsome young man in white walked towards Ni Shang with a faint smile on his face. He exuded a clean aura and looked very mysterious. His cultivation was not weaker than Ni Shang's at all. He had also reached the 8th Revolution half-saint realm. He looked perfect and flawless, like an elegant young master in a chaotic world. Many girls in the surrounding blushed when they saw him, and their eyes were filled with adoration. All of them were extremely excited. Lu Yun. Why are you here? Ni Shang frowned slightly and said plainly. On the other hand, Ling Xiao had a strange look in his eyes. The guy in front of him was actually the holy son of the heavenly curse sect, Lu Yun. Ling Xiao had ridden the white jade elephant and killed him once in the Divine Spirit Valley in the Void Saint world. Junior sister Ni Shang, you want to enter the Martial Treasury Mountain, right? Why don't you follow me? I guarantee that junior sister Ni Shang will obtain the secret skill of life. Lu Yun smiled faintly and said confidently. What a boastful tone. You dare to guarantee that senior sister Ni Shang will obtain the secret skill of life? Gao Yang seemed to dislike Lu Yun very much and could not help but scoff. Holy Son Gao Yang. I'm sorry for the disrespect. I heard that you were defeated by senior brother Wang Dao previously. Since senior brother Wang Dao is here today, why don't the two of you spar again? Lu Yun glanced at Gao Yang with a hint of mockery in his eyes. Wang Dao. If he wasn't despicable and used a flawless sage treasure to sneak an attack on me, he would have been defeated by me. Gao Yang's face turned ugly when he heard Wang Dao's name, and he said coldly. Being defeated by Wang Dao could be said to be Gao Yang's humiliation. The two of them were fighting over a origin source sacred herb in a secret realm, but Gao Yang was defeated by Wang Dao in the end. He even lost the origin source sacred herb. Gao Yang, do you want to die? With your insignificant cultivation, you won't be my big brother's match even if you cultivate for another 100 years. An ear-piercing voice sounded, and a few extraordinary young men walked over from afar. They clustered around a handsome young man in pure gold armor with red hair fluttering in the wind. It was the holy son of the Five Elements Saint sect, Wang Dao. The one who spoke was a young man beside Wang Dao who looked very similar to him. He had the cultivation of a First Revolution half-saint and was Wang Dao's younger brother, Wang Yan. Wang Dao, you actually made a breakthrough. Gao Yang's gaze trembled slightly, and his face turned even uglier. Wang Dao's cultivation had already reached the 8th Revolution half-saint realm. However, Wang Dao was previously a 7th Revolution half-saint like him. Looking at Wang Dao's aura, he had probably just made a breakthrough. Gao Yang, I still have to thank you for giving me the Flaming Heart Lotus, which allowed me to pass through the 8th Nirvana tribulation. The gap between us is getting bigger and bigger. Wang Dao said indifferently, and his gaze was incomparably cold and arrogant. Wang Dao and Lu Yun stood side by side. The disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Five Elements Sacred sect had a mocking look on their faces. They faintly surrounded Ling Xiao and the others, and the atmosphere was a little strange. You are Long Outyan. Wang Yan's gaze swept across Anai Shang, Gao Yang, and the others. When it finally landed on Ling Xiao, his body suddenly trembled, and he couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. Chapter 1727. In the Void Saint world, Wang Yan wanted to snatch Ling Xiao's 10 Saints' steel. In the end, not only did he fail to obtain the 10 Saints' steel, but he was also killed by Ling Xiao. This was a great humiliation for Wang Yan. He thought about it almost every day. If he met Ling Xiao in the realm of gods, he would definitely use Ling Xiao's flesh and blood to wash away the humiliation on him. Wang Yan did not expect to meet Long Outyan here. The anger and killing intent in his heart was instantly aroused. A terrifying aura spread out from his body like a burning flame, locking Ling Xiao in place. Long Outyan. This name seemed to have some kind of magical power. Lu Yun and Wang Dao were originally calm, but at this moment, their expressions changed. Their gazes fell on Ling Xiao, and a chilling aura exuded from their bodies. In the sacred spirit valley, Ling Xiao rode on the psychic sacred bone white jade dragon elephant to kill them and snatch all their sacred badges. This was also a great humiliation. Who were Lu Yun and Wang Dao? They were the saints of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Five Elements Sacred sect. Other than a few saints in the sect who were of similar status as them, they were the ones who stood by their words among the hundreds of thousands of disciples. They had the power to decide the life and death of others. However, in the Void Saint world, they had suffered a great loss in the hands of a divine king. It's really you. This is really a case of searching high and low only to find you by chance. Long Outyan, now that you don't have the psychic sacred bone to rely on, how do you want to die? Wang Dao stared at Ling Xiao. His eyes were like divine lamps, and his killing intent was blazing. Senior Uncle Long, how did you offend these two fellows? Look at their eyes, it's as if they hate you to the core. Did you sleep with their wives or kill their parents? Gao Yang asked with his eyes wide open. His eyes were filled with doubt. Anai Shang and Wu Xiong were also puzzled. They felt that the situation had changed a little too quickly. Why was the spearhead suddenly pointing at Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao rolled his eyes helplessly. Gao Yang's mouth was a little annoying. He was almost comparable to Black Donkey. So it's you guys? Didn't I just kill you once in the Void Saint world? Is there a need to seek revenge for the smallest grievance? Do you want me to kill you guys again? This is the realm of gods. If you guys die here, you will really die. Ling Xiao said indifferently, his expression extremely calm. However, his words were like a clap of thunder, causing an uproar among the crowd. What? Saint Child Lu Yun and Saint Child Wang Dao were actually killed by Long Outyan once? This is impossible, right? What's impossible? Can't you see that Saint Sun Lu Yun and Saint Sun Wang Dao have already tacitly agreed? Who is this Long Outyan? This is explosive news. This is too inconceivable. This Long Ao Tian seems to only be a first revolution half-saint. How did he do it? Everyone was shocked. They looked at Ling Xiao in disbelief as they discussed among themselves. You? Hand over the 10 saints' steel and I'll allow you to kneel and commit suicide. Wang Dao's eyes were incomparably cold as he looked down at Ling Xiao. It was as if letting Ling Xiao commit suicide was a gift. You want the 10 saints' steel? Unfortunately, you don't have the qualifications. Why don't you kneel down and submit to me? I can spare your life. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His gaze was extremely calm. Senior Uncle Long, so the 10 saints' steel is in your hands? Ha ha ha. When I return, I must borrow it to study. So the person who caused chaos in the Void Saint world is you. Gao Yang's eyes widened, and they were filled with incomparable surprise. Everyone was also shocked. They had heard of the commotion in the Void Saint world. Someone had actually taken away the 10 saints' steel from the myriad saints' steel forest. Many people had been searching for that fellow's whereabouts, but to no avail. They did not expect it to be this Long Outyan. Everyone became even more curious. Who exactly was this Long Outyan who had snatched the 10 saints' steel in the Void Saint world and killed Wang Yan, Wang Dao, and Lu Yun, the 3 exceptional geniuses? Spare my life? Ha ha ha. Brat, you're about to die, yet you still dare to be so arrogant. Do you really think that I can't kill you with Ni Shang around? Wang Dao laughed in extreme anger. He thought that Ling Xiao only dared to be so arrogant because Ni Shang, Gao Yang, and Wu Xiong were here. Instantly, an extremely intense killing intent surged in his heart. Brother Wang, this brat is too arrogant. I'll block Ni Shang and the other 2 for you. You capture this brat. You must obtain the 10 saints' steel from him. Lu Yun's eyes suddenly flashed as he sent a message to Wang Dao. All right. Wang Dao immediately agreed. Rumble. Lu Yun and Wang Dao's bodies exuded a powerful aura. The true disciples who came with them also looked indifferent as they surrounded Ling Xiao and the others. Ni Shang's gaze turned cold as she stared at Lu Yun and Wang Dao. She said, Lu Yun, Wang Dao, do you want to fight in the Imperial Garden? If you want to die, I can fulfill your wish. Ni Shang's voice was like the clanging of a sword, ethereal and mysterious. There seemed to be a mysterious power of time surrounding her. Senior sister Ni Shang, I've long found these 2 bastards an eyesore. Why should I be afraid of them? Get them. Gao Yang sneered coldly like a hooligan. The aura around him was fixed on Wang Dao as he wanted to avenge his previous humiliation. Ni Shang, you should know my feelings for you. Why would I hurt you? However, your junior brother doesn't know his place. Let Wang Dao teach him a lesson. Lu Yun smiled as mysterious runes flickered around him. It was as though he had unknowingly separated Ni Shang and Ling Xiao, ready to take action at any time. The atmosphere in the Imperial Garden instantly became extremely tense. No one had expected the War God Hall, Heavenly Curse Sect, and 5 Elements Saint Sect to be in a standoff here. If the saints of the 3 sects were to fight, it would be a huge joke. Junior sister Ni Shang, brother Lu, brother Wang, I've set up the Outstanding Talents banquet here today to let all the geniuses get to know each other. If the 3 of you were to fight here, it would spoil the fun. Just then, a hearty laugh was heard. The crowd in the distance parted, and a golden chariot slowly drove into the Imperial Garden. 9 golden dragons pulled the chariot, and over a dozen maids stood on both sides. Each of them looked valiant as they wore armor and held swords. Their charm and heroism intertwined, giving them a different kind of beauty. A fragrant wind blew, and flowers fell from the sky. Golden lotuses appeared in the void, and a majestic Saint Tao aura spread out. There was also the aura of a king, which was very mysterious. The golden chariot stopped in front of Ling Xiao and the rest. A young man in a golden robe walked out of it. He looked to be in his 20s. He had a heroic appearance and an extraordinary bearing. His skin emitted a sparkling light. His eyebrows were sharp and his eyes were bright. His long black hair was tied up casually. He held an ancient sword in his arms. He had a natural and unrestrained temperament. Chapter 1728. Greetings, Your Highness. Everyone's eyes were filled with awe as they cupped their hands and bowed to the young man. Crown Prince Ji Tian had arrived. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Crown Prince Ji Tian looked gentle and casual, but he was extremely arrogant. He only looked at Anai Shang, Lu Yun, and Wang Dao. He didn't even look at Gao Yang and Wu Xiong. But Ji Tian glanced at Ling Xiao, his gaze incomparably deep. We naturally don't want to ruin Brother Ji's prodigy banquet. It's a pity that someone here is a killjoy. His cultivation is like an ant, but he boasted shamelessly. How about I kill him to liven things up for Brother Ji's prodigy banquet? Wang Dao smiled faintly. You dare? Anai Shang raised her eyebrows, and there was a trace of coldness in her eyes. Brother Wang, do you have a grudge with Senior Long? Ji Tian's eyes revealed a trace of surprise, and he suddenly said slowly. Senior Long? What do you mean, Brother Ji? Lu Yun's smile froze when he heard how Ji Tian addressed him. Brother Lu and Brother Wang, you don't know yet, right? Senior Long Outyen is now the Battle Hall Master of Combat God Hall. He controls the Cyclic Sky Seal, and Lord Battle God personally admitted that he's Scarlet Dragon Battle God's disciple. Lord Battle God calls him Junior Martial Uncle, and even Senior Sister Anai Shang has to call him Senior Martial Uncle. Ji Tian smiled and nodded at Ling Xiao. Battle Hall Master. Controls the Cyclic Sky Seal. Lu Yun and Wang Dao trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. What had happened at the War God Shrine had only happened a few days ago and had yet to be spread. Even Elder Huang Tai of the nine-layered Imperial Obelisk had been injured by Ling Xiao. Naturally, they wouldn't mention anything about Ling Xiao, so Lu Yun and Wang Dao didn't know either. However, they didn't dare to believe it when they heard it from Ji Tian, and their faces turned ugly. How? How is this possible? Wasn't Zhang Tianqing the most likely to get the Cyclic Sky Seal? How can it be him? Wang Dao said with an ugly expression. Brother Wang, you don't know. Although Zhang Tianqing claimed to have the bloodline of the war tribe, Senior Long's talent was far superior to Zhang Tianqing's. That was why he had been able to take control of the Flipping Sky Seal from Zhang Tianqing. Senior Long has the Flipping Sky Seal. I'm afraid Brother Wang is no match for Senior Long. Ji Tian said with a smile. Ling Xiao, Anai Shang, and the rest couldn't help but frown and laugh coldly in their hearts. Ji Tian seemed to be speaking up for Ling Xiao, but every word he said was related to Ling Xiao becoming the Battle Hall Master and wielding the Flipping Sky Seal. After all, Ling Xiao's cultivation was still too low. As the saying goes, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. With Ling Xiao's cultivation, wielding the Flipping Sky Seal would naturally attract the attention of others. Therefore, the War God Temple did not publicize this matter. Even Anai Shang and the others did not address Ling Xiao as martial granduncle in front of outsiders. Ji Tian's action was simply sinister. Killing and destroying the heart. Ling Xiao suddenly thought of a word, and his gaze also became even colder. This Ji Tian was truly scheming. What kind of ability was it to rely on a saint treasure? Without the Flipping Sky Seal, killing him would be as easy as flipping my hand. Wang Dao snorted coldly and no longer mentioned killing Ling Xiao. He knew how terrifying the flipping sky seal was. Even if Ling Zhao's cultivation was only at the first revolution half-saint and could not fully activate the flipping sky seal, he was not confident that he could withstand a blow from the flipping sky seal. This was also because he did not know Ling Zhao's battle record on War Mountain. Otherwise, if he knew that even Huang Tai was injured by Ling Zhao using the flipping sky seal, he would probably not even dare to speak. Wang Dao, how dare you talk about relying on a saint treasure? If you did not rely on a saint treasure to snatch my raging flame lotus, you would have been defeated by me. Extremely shameless. Gao Yang sneered, his eyes filled with disdain. Gao Yang, don't be angry with such a despicable person. In the end, he only relies on his cultivation being higher than mine. If we were at the same cultivation level, I would kill him like a dog. Ling Zhao said indifferently. His voice was very calm as if he was stating a fact. You, bastard. Wang Dao was so angry that his entire body began to tremble. Even Lu Yun's gaze towards Ling Zhao was a little colder. As for Ji Tian, it was as if nothing had happened. Now that he had successfully caused the conflict between Ling Zhao, Lu Yun, and Wang Dao, he could not help but walk up with a smile. Everyone, please calm down. This is the prodigy's banquet. If we were to fight here, wouldn't we become a laughing stock? When the Musashi Mountain opens, there will naturally be a chance for everyone to learn from each other. Wang Dao naturally took advantage of the situation and said coldly, today, I will give Brother Ji some face. Otherwise, I will definitely not let him off. After Wang Dao finished speaking, he was afraid that Ling Zhao would say something else. He immediately left with Lu Yun with the disciples of the two sections. Cowardly scoundrel. Gao Yang spat lightly and said disdainfully. Previously, they were still flaunting their strength. In the end, once they heard that Ling Zhao had the flipping sky seal, they no longer mentioned fighting. The prodigy's banquet began very quickly. Various fine nectar and precious delicacies were naturally served up like flowing water, and they were enshrouded in light mist, causing them to seem misty and peaceful. Everyone toasted each other, and it seemed to be a scene of happiness and harmony. In the prodigy's banquet, Ling Zhao also saw Ji Chen and Yun Yang. However, they were following behind an elder in a blood-red robe and looked very respectful. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Last night in the War God Elixir Seal Pavilion, Ling Zhao felt that someone was spying on him. Although the aura was very obscure, Ling Zhao still sensed that it was this blood-red robed elder. The peak cultivation of a 9th revolution half-saint, his strength unfathomable. As soon as Shui Yuanzi appeared in the prodigy's banquet, he immediately attracted the attention of everyone. This was because Shui Yuanzi was not only a powerful 9th revolution half-saint, but also an alchemy saint who had once refined a perfect divine elixir. Ji Chen and Yun Yang also noticed Ling Zhao and their eyes were filled with incomparable cold hatred. However, in the prodigy's banquet, they did not dare to be presumptuous, especially after knowing Ling Zhao and Ni Shang's identities. Naturally, they did not dare to cause trouble. After half a round of drinking, Ji Tian smiled at the crowd and said, "Welcome to today's prodigy's banquet. In order to liven things up for everyone, I have some leftover chaos stones in the Imperial Garden. Although they are not as precious as the real chaos stones, they may contain many treasures. Everyone can choose to gamble on the stones. If you can cut out the real treasure, it will be everyone's good fortune." Buzz. Chapter 1729. Stone Gambling. Upon hearing these two words, everyone's eyes immediately lit up. In the God realm, true stone gambling was spread among the saints. Legend had it that the Chaos Stones were collected by the saints from beyond the heavens. Chaos Stones could contain treasures from the previous era. They could be powerful weapons, precious elixirs, or even powerful living beings. Chaos Stones contained everything. There had always been rumors in the God realm that some people had cut out supreme elixirs from the Chaos Stones, and their cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Some people had cut out supreme imperial scriptures, and became an overlord, establishing a sacred ground orthodoxy. Some people had cut out supreme treasures, and obtained great opportunities and opportunities. Therefore, in the God realm, many experts were never tired of stone gambling. True chaos stones were too precious. Only saints could afford to play with them. Ordinary people did not have the right to. There were also some scraps of chaos stones that saints did not fancy. That was why everyone had the chance to see the chaos stones. When everyone heard that there were scraps of chaos stones in the imperial garden, it was as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Those chaos stones of different shapes and sizes were as alluring as naked girls in the eyes of the crowd. However, even the scraps of chaos stones were not free. One had to pay a price to obtain them. Everyone rushed into the stone forest, and exclamations rose and fell. Look at this chaos stone. Doesn't it look like a divine dragon? The dragon scales are lifelike, and the dragon head is terrifying. I suspect that there must be a treasure in it. And this turtle rock. It is filled with auspicious air, and there is a fragrance coming from it. It should be a supreme elixir. The price of these chaos stones is too high. Everyone was discussing, but when they saw the price of the chaos stones, they were also speechless. Even the cheapest chaos stone, which was the size of a fist, was priced at a few hundred drops of sacred liquid. And those chaos stones that were filled with auspicious air were easily worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of drops of sacred liquid. It was not something that a handful of people could afford, and it made people flinch. Stone gambling was a gamble. One cut to heaven, one cut to hell. If a treasure was cut out, it would naturally be a joyous occasion. However, more often than not, there would be nothing after cutting out the chaos stones. In the end, they would lose everything. Brother G is really good. Holding the prodigy's banquet and being able to deal with these chaos stones. Brother G is going to make a killing. Lu Yun and Wang Dao said to Ji Tian. However, their eyes were filled with curiosity. After all, they did not have many opportunities to come into contact with chaos stones. They were very infatuated and excited about the feeling of life and death. But no matter what, in the end, Ji Tian would definitely be the winner. Finally, someone could not hold it in any longer. They began to buy scraps of chaos stones and began stone gambling. It was a black-robed youth. He was a second revolution half-saint. He had clenched his teeth and spent 1,000 drops of holy liquid to purchase a watermelon-sized stone. It was exuding an auspicious aura. There was a tiny stone heart inside it. It was beating like a heart. It looked extremely extraordinary. The black-robed young man seemed to be trying his luck. The other chaos stones that were filled with auspicious air and had strange phenomena were easily worth tens of thousands of drops of sacred liquid. Only this watermelon stone only needed 1,000 drops of sacred liquid. He bought it with the intention of taking advantage of it. In the imperial garden, there was a professional stone cutter. Stone gambling was very particular. If there was really a treasure in the chaos stone and it was damaged in the process of cutting the stone, it would probably be so depressing that it would vomit blood. The black-robed young man handed the watermelon stone to the stone cutter with a face full of anticipation. Everyone stared intently at the watermelon stone. As the stone cutter took out a strange weapon, like a spinning top, he skillfully peeled off the outer layer of the watermelon stone. Everyone couldn't help but hold their breaths. Half of the watermelon stone was peeled off, but the inside was still chaotic and gray. The black-robed young man was a little anxious. "It's brilliant! It's brilliant!" Suddenly, someone exclaimed. There was a trace of excitement in his eyes. A trace of green light appeared where the watermelon stone was peeled off. Although it looked very faint, it was indeed a green light. Moreover, it was getting denser and denser. In the end, it actually emitted a strange fragrance. It must be a sacred medicine from ancient times. That fragrance was intoxicating. Someone secretly guessed. The black-robed young man was also excited. His body was trembling. After all, 1,000 drops of sacred liquid was not a small amount to him. If he really could not cut out anything, then he would really suffer a loss. Fortunately, this watermelon stone did not disappoint him. Buzz! In the end, all the surface was peeled off. A green flower appeared in the stone-cutter's hand. It looked sparkling and translucent. The petals flowed with multicolored light. It was like a green sun, mysterious and unfathomable. The black-robed young man hurriedly took out a jade box that he had prepared beforehand. He put the green flower inside to prevent the medicinal effects from leaking out. What kind of flower is this? Everyone's eyes revealed a trace of doubt because they didn't know him at all. Finally, Ji Tian looked at Shui Yuanzi and said, Shui Yuanzi, do you know where this flower came from? Blood Origin slowly said, if I'm not mistaken, this should be an azure god flower. It's a divine medicine from ancient times that can enhance the power of the primordial spirit. It can even be refined into sacred medicines to enhance the power of the primordial spirit. It's almost lost now. Little brother, if you are willing to sell it, I'm willing to pay 100,000 drops of sacred liquid for it. 100,000 drops of sacred liquid? Everyone exclaimed, their eyes filled with disbelief. The black-robed young man spent 1,000 drops of sacred liquid to buy the watermelon stone. After cutting out the flower, the price increased by 100 times in the blink of an eye. Everyone's eyes became extremely hot. The black-robed young man was scared silly. Perhaps even he didn't think that the flower would be so precious that Blood Origin Pill Saint would be willing to pay 100,000 drops of sacred liquid. I'm willing to sell it. Thank you, Blood Origin Pill Saint. The black-robed young man said without hesitation and respectfully handed the jade box to Blood Origin Pill Saint. Blood Origin Pill Saint had great prestige among the crowd, so naturally, no one doubted his words. Everyone was just envious of the black-robed young man's good luck. Suddenly, many geniuses who were watching from the sidelines couldn't help but rush into the stone forest to pick out the chaos stones. Senior Uncle Long, let's go pick out a few chaos stones too. If we can cut out the treasures, we'll be rich. Gao Yang was also eager to give it a try. His eyes were shining. P.S. Today, Mu Yu's parents-in-law are here, and so are my parents. They want to discuss the marriage between Mu Yu and Little Peony. Mu Yu needs to treat them well for the next few days. Whether or not he can take Little Peony home will depend on his performance. Therefore, for the sake of Mu Yu's marriage, Mu Yu can only shamelessly abandon all of you. There won't be many updates in the next few days, but they won't stop. Everyone, please bear with me. After my parents-in-law leave, Mu Yu will apologize to all of you. Chapter 1730. Even though Ni Shang and Wu Xiong didn't say anything, their eyes were filled with curiosity. Stone gambling was an irresistible temptation to everyone. Especially when they saw the green god flower in the watermelon stone chosen by the black-robed youth, everyone saw endless possibilities. After all, since ancient times, there was a saying in the realm of gods that even a divine being cannot break an inch of jade. Even though there might be a special secret technique to see some clues, no one would know what was in the chaos stone until the moment it was cut out. Stone gambling was a game of the heart. Don't panic. That black-robed youth is a trap set by them. There might be treasures in the leftovers of these chaos stones, but most of them should be some useless stones. If you go stone gambling, I'm afraid you're just giving the holy liquid to Ji Tian for nothing. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he transmitted his voice to Ni Shang and the rest. Set a trap. This is impossible, right? Although the Blood Yuan alchemy saint is impressive, he can't possibly know if there are treasures in the chaos stones, let alone know if there are green god flowers in the chaos stones, right? Gao Yang transmitted his voice in disbelief. Do you really think those are chaos stones? Ling Xiao sneered. Those aren't chaos stones at all, but nature stones. They can change into thousands of forms and have been disguised by someone. After absorbing the chaos chi, they look no different from chaos stones. The green god flower in them was probably placed in by someone in advance. If you go stone gambling now, there's a high chance you'll lose everything. What? Nature Stone. This Ji Tian deserves to die. He actually deceived so many people. Gao Yang was enraged. He had heard of the Nature Stone before. It was a kind of treasure that could change into thousands of forms and disguise itself as all kinds of treasures. It was mysterious and unpredictable. Although the Nature Stone was considered precious, it was worth it to use it as a scam. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he transmitted his voice to Gao Yang. Later on, go and take away the leftovers from the watermelon stones. Be careful not to attract the attention of Ji Tian and the Blood Yuan alchemy saint. Gao Yang understood and nodded. Don't worry. I, the Holy Son Gao Yang, am known as the empty-handed thief. I'll teach that bastard Ji Tian a lesson. Martial Uncle Long, could it be that you think these leftovers of the Chaos Stones are all useless stones? There are no treasures at all? Ni Shang asked curiously. After all, it was difficult for a divine being to break jade. Even if it was just a scrap of the Chaos Gem, no one dared to say that there was no treasure within. However, Ling Zhao's assertion made Ni Shang very curious and surprised. Not a single treasure. That's impossible. However, the scraps of these Chaos Gems had already been picked by others. Most of them were useless rocks. Senior Sister Nick Hang ought to be able to know that there's a type of person in this world that's capable of seeing through all illusions and everything. It's even to the extent that they're said to be able to see through the long river of fate and see through the past and future. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. You mean Heavenly Master? Ni Shang's gaze turned solemn. The Heavenly Master was a person who could make the heavenly realm, and even the myriad of worlds tremble and pay attention to. Every Heavenly Master had different abilities. Some had clairvoyance and could see through all fabrications. Some could see through all worlds. Some could see through life and death. Some could see through the past and the future. Heavenly Masters were a group of lucky people favored by heaven and earth. Their talents came from the heavens and the power of the heavenly Tao. Their status even far surpassed ordinary sages, surpassing the so-called alchemy sages and talisman sages. It was the most honorable profession in history. For example, alchemy and weapon refinement could be learned through cultivation. However, being a heavenly master was a gift from the heavens. Although a heavenly master's talent could be improved along with their cultivation, this talent could not be inherited or learned. It was rumored that in ancient times, heavenly masters could even guide others to attain the Tao and become emperors. It was an unprecedented honor to be the teacher of a great emperor. Perhaps, perhaps not. After all, heavenly masters are too rare. However, the origin of these Chaos Gems is rather interesting. Ling Xiao said nonchalantly. Ling Xiao was naturally not a heavenly master. However, what others did not know was that Ling Xiao, who possessed the wordless heavenly book, had the talent of a heavenly master. Back in the war god world, Ling Xiao had participated in stone gambling. However, those were ancient stones that had been born and buried under the ground. They were not true Chaos Gems. Ling Xiao possessed the wordless heavenly book. His senses seemed to have been magnified 1,000 times, 10,000 times. He could clearly sense the changes in the Chaos Gems and determine whether there were treasures within. Thus, Ling Xiao could discover the flaw in the watermelon stone. He could also discover that among the scraps of the Chaos Gems, apart from a very small portion, the rest were mostly useless stones. In the stone forest, everyone began to pick out the Chaos Gems in full swing. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. However, most of them were quickly doused with a bucket of cold water. This was because they had expended a large amount of sacred liquid. In the end, they found nothing in the Chaos Gems they cut open. They had lost everything. Of course, there were also a few people who found treasures after cutting open the Chaos Gems. In the end, those Chaos Gems were the most precious pieces in the stone forest. They were extremely valuable to begin with. The treasures they found were far less valuable than the sacred liquid they had paid. It looks like we don't have the luck of stone gambling. There are so many scraps of Chaos Gems, but why are there so few treasures? Someone sighed softly. His eyes were filled with disappointment. It's brilliant, it's brilliant. This is a 5-colored glow. What kind of treasure is that? Suddenly, someone cried out in surprise. His voice was filled with incomparable excitement. In the stone forest in the distance, a chaos gem that Yun Yang had chosen was cut open by a stone cutter. A 5-colored glow permeated the air and exuded a majestic auspicious aura. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Everyone's gaze was attracted. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. The disappointment and suspicion they had felt earlier were swept away in an instant. That's Blood Origin Elixir Saint's disciple, young Master Yun Yang. No wonder he was able to find treasures. So it's young Master Yun Yang. That's right. I heard that there is a heavenly master on Pil Seal Mountain who can see through illusions and see the truth. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint was once guided by him. It is said that the chaos gems that the Blood Origin Elixir Saint selects usually contain treasures. This young Master Yun Yang is also extraordinary. That's right. Receiving guidance from a heavenly master is a glory that even a saint might not be able to enjoy. I wonder what treasures young Master Yun Yang will find. Everyone was discussing animatedly. They were filled with anticipation. Everyone, I was guided by my master. After careful selection, I finally found the treasures contained within this chaos gem. This is all thanks to my master's guidance. Young Master Yun Yang smiled faintly. Although he looked very humble, he still couldn't hide his pride and complacency. Young Master Yun Yang has a unique insight. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint has unfathomable abilities. Chapter 1731. Boom. As the chaos stone that young Master Yun Yang had chosen was completely cut open, it immediately emitted thousands of rays of light. Strands of 5-colored divine light filled the air, and it contained a mysterious fragrance that made one feel energized. It was as if the saint energy in one's body had skyrocketed. What kind of treasure is this? Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at the treasure in the chaos stone. It was a fist-sized saint fruit that was flowing with 5-colored light. It looked crystal clear and had mysterious runes on its surface. It was as mysterious as runes and was incomparably exquisite. As soon as it appeared, the endless spiritual energy between the heavens and earth rushed toward the saint fruit. Everyone looked at each other in dismay because they couldn't recognize the origin of this holy fruit. Blood Origin Elixir Saint, what kind of treasure is this? Someone couldn't help but ask. Perhaps only the Blood Origin Elixir Saint could recognize the origin of this saint fruit. This is the 5 Elements Tao fruit. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint's eyes revealed a trace of shock as he slowly said. The fruit of 5 elements was a kind of origin sacred medicine. It contained the origin power of 5 elements. It was extremely useful for a semi-sage who cultivated the great Tao of 5 elements. Moreover, it could be refined into a Tao of 5 elements. It was of great help even to a saint. 5 Elements Tao fruit. Isn't this a treasure that's almost lost? I heard that the 5 Elements Saint sect used to have the 5 Elements Tao fruit, but I don't know if they still have it now. Everyone exclaimed, their eyes full of disbelief. The value of this 5 Elements Tao fruit was immeasurable. Young Master Yun Yang, how much is this 5 Elements Tao fruit? Please sell it to me. Wang Dao, who couldn't help but look at young Master Yun Yang with an extremely excited expression on his face, spoke eagerly. He was the saint of the 5 Elements Saint sect and cultivated the 5 Elements Tao. Although he mainly cultivated the Flame Tao, he had a deep understanding of the other 4 Taos. If he could get this 5 Elements Tao fruit, Wang Dao even hoped to break through to the 9th Revolution half-saint realm in a short time. At that time, he would be the first saint of the 5 Elements Saint sect. This 5 Elements Tao fruit had an extremely important effect to the King Tao. Senior brother Wang Dao wants the 5 Elements Tao fruit, so I'm naturally willing to fulfill your wish. The 5 Elements Tao fruit will be priced at 500,000 saint liquids. How about it? Yun Yang said with a smile. 500,000 saint liquids, this price is too low. I appreciate young Master Yunyang's kindness. Wang Dao said gratefully. The price of the 5 elements Dao fruit was indeed a lot, and could be considered a high price. However, the 5 elements Dao fruit was now on the verge of extinction, and its usefulness to Wang Dao was immeasurable. Therefore, the price of 5 elements Dao fruit was indeed not high. Senior brother Wang Dao, if you consume the 5-element fruit directly, then it would be a waste of the medicinal effects within it. Why don't you ask my master to refine a 5-element Dao pill for you? I presume it will surely be able to assist you in overcoming the 9th rebirth tribulation in one go. Young Master Yunyang smiled. 5 elements Dao core. If the blood essence pill sage is willing to help, I will be very grateful. This junior is willing to pay 1 million saint liquid. Wang Dao was overjoyed and immediately gritted his teeth. 1 million drops of holy liquid was a huge number for Wang Dao. He only had a few 100,000 drops of holy liquid on him. For him to offer 1 million drops of holy liquid showed his sincerity. You don't have to be so polite, Wang Dao. I have some friendship with your master, so I'll open the furnace and refine the pill for you later. Shui Yuan pill saint said with a smile. Wang Dao was naturally very grateful. At the same time, his heart was filled with lofty sentiments. As long as the 5-element Dao pill was refined, he would definitely be able to break through to the 9th revolution half-saint realm after consuming it and accumulating enough holy power. The chaos stone that young Master Yunyang had chosen was worth 100,000 drops of holy liquid, and the 5-element Dao fruit was worth 500,000 drops of holy liquid. This also pushed the blood essence pill saint and Yunyang's reputation to the peak. The crowd, who had originally been a little disappointed, suddenly felt as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They began to participate in the stone gambling again. Yunyang suddenly glanced at Ling Xiao and the others and sneered. Long Outyen, why aren't you participating in something as exciting as stone gambling? Could it be that you don't have enough holy liquid to buy the chaos stone? It seems like the war god temple is declining more and more. Hearing Yunyang's mockery, the crowd roared with laughter. Young Master Yunyang, Long Outyen is not a country bumpkin. He has the 10 saint steel. If he is willing to take it out, I believe that Brother Ji will be willing to exchange the chaos stone with him. I'm afraid that he doesn't have confidence in himself and will lose everything. Wang Dao also sneered. Ji Tian smiled slightly and glanced at Ling Xiao. Senior Long, if you are willing to take out the 10 saint steel, I can let you choose any 10 chaos stones in this stone forest. Choose any 10. The Crown Prince is really generous. The most expensive chaos stones are worth more than a few million drops of holy liquid. I'm afraid that Senior Long wouldn't dare. Lu Yun said with a smile. They echoed each other, their words laced with sarcasm and ridicule, as well as flattery. Instantly, Wu Xiong and Gao Yang's expressions turned cold, and their eyes were filled with incomparable anger. Even though they knew that this was a provocation, they were still infuriated. Ling Zhao's face was still calm as he said indifferently, "Are these chaos stones worthy of exchanging for my 10 saint steel? It's just some chaos stone waste. It's not worth mentioning. What's there to brag about? Chaos stone waste? Long Outyen, you'd better watch your words." Ji Chen's face turned cold as he stared at Ling Xiao. The smile on Ji Tian's face faded. Ling Zhao's words were clearly directed at him. If these were all chaos stone waste, wouldn't it mean that he was cheating all the geniuses? Even though Ji Tian was a scheming person, he was still slightly angry. Palace Master Long, aren't you a little too reckless? Even a saint cannot judge an inch of jade. Other than the Heavenly Master, who can determine the authenticity of the chaos stones? Although I am not talented, I can still see that there are treasures hidden in these chaos stones. Why don't we make a bet? The Blood Origin Elixir Saint suddenly smiled and looked at Ling Xiao. Bet on stones? Hearing that the Blood Origin Elixir Saint wanted to bet on stones with Long Outyen, everyone became excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. How do you want to bet? Ling Xiao sneered in his heart, but his expression did not change as he asked. Very simple. You and I each pick a chaos stone. Whoever has the highest value will win. How about that? We'll make a small bet. The loser will agree to one condition within his ability. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint smiled faintly. Sounds very fair. However, Blood Origin Elixir Saint, you have been taught by the Heavenly Master, but I'm just a junior. Aren't you afraid of being suspected of bullying the weak? Ling Xiao said calmly. His eyes were incomparably deep, and no one could tell what he was thinking. Chapter 1732. Palace Master Long, you are the disciple of the Scarlet Dragon War God. Even the War God has to address you as martial uncle. How can you be a junior? Palace Master Long, you don't have to be humble. You must be extraordinary to be able to become the disciple of the Scarlet Dragon War God. I believe that a mere chaotic stone will not be a problem for you. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint smiled. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint was trying to flatter him and provoke him into gambling. However, even if it was stone gambling, Ling Xiao was not necessarily afraid of the Blood Yuan Alchemy Saint. With the wordless heavenly book in hand, Ling Xiao was almost equivalent to a celestial master. If the Blood Yuan Alchemy Saint wanted to bully him because of his young age, he was afraid that he had made a mistake. In that case, let's gamble then. Ling Xiao said indifferently with a calm expression. Martial Uncle Long, don't be rash. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint is not simple. Although he is not a heavenly master, he has received guidance from a heavenly master. If you gamble with him, you will most likely lose. Gao Yang said anxiously to Long Outyen through telepathy. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid this old man is up to no good. He wants the item left behind by the Divine Illumination Crown Prince. However, don't worry. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint is not a heavenly master. I'm afraid he has made the wrong decision this time. Ling Xiao sneered. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint would not come to him for a stone gamble for no reason. His only motive was probably the item left behind by the Divine Illumination Crown Prince. Ji Feishuan naturally trusted Ling Xiao. Even if the Blood Essence Elixir Saint were to challenge him, she believed that Ling Xiao would win. This was the trust formed by countless tacit agreements. Ni Shang, Wu Xiong, and Gao Yang were still skeptical. However, they did not say anything when they saw that Ling Xiao had already made up his mind. The Blood Essence Elixir Saint wants to gamble with Long Outyen? Ha ha ha. Long Outyen is overestimating himself. He will lose for sure. Isn't that right? The Blood Essence Elixir Saint has received guidance from a heavenly master. He has unfathomable means. Although Long Outyen's martial arts talent is extraordinary, he has no experience in stone gambling. He is still too young and impetuous. Even young Master Yunyang, the disciple of the Blood Origin Elixir Saint, managed to cut out the 5 elements Dao fruit. I wonder what kind of treasure the Blood Origin Elixir Saint will cut out. I'm really looking forward to it. The news that Ling Xiao and Shui Yuan Dan Saint were going to bet on stones had shocked everyone. Then, they began to mock and ridicule Ling Xiao. They had no confidence in Ling Xiao. They believed that Ling Xiao would lose without a doubt. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint was an expert of the Pill Talisman Mountain. His status was revered. He was even on the same level as an ordinary saint. Although he was still a 9th Revolution half-saint, he was not far from becoming a saint. He had a very high prestige in the hearts of everyone. He was an honored guest of the great Zhou Divine Kingdom's king and had great power. You're courting death. Young Master Yunyang sneered, his eyes full of disdain. Young Master Yunyang, why lower yourself to the level of an arrogant person? If he hadn't gotten the flipping sky seal by chance, I would have killed him long ago. Wang Dao said coldly. Everyone was not optimistic about Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao's expression was incomparably calm and indifferent. It was as if he was not affected at all. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint had already entered the stone forest to choose a chaos stone. Although he was wearing a blood-red robe, he looked like a celestial being. His temperament was extraordinary. His steps were like moving clouds and flowing water. Soon, he had chosen a chaos stone. It was a fist-sized chaos stone. It looked dense and auspicious. It was perfectly round and looked like an eyeball. It exuded an incomparably mysterious aura. Such a chaos stone was actually worth 300,000 drops of sacred liquid. It was also one of the most expensive chaos stones in the entire stone forest. Palace Master Long, I have already chosen. Are you still not going to make a move? The Blood Origin Elixir Saint looked at Ling Xiao and smiled slightly. Ling Xiao looked at the chaos stone that the Blood Origin Elixir Saint had chosen. His eyes revealed a trace of surprise. He could feel the wordless heavenly book trembling. Obviously, there must be a treasure in this chaos stone. Moreover, it must be a very precious treasure. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint had some tricks up his sleeve. However, Ling Xiao could feel that the chaos stone was still there. That was enough. I have already chosen. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Then, he walked directly into the stone forest and stopped in front of the largest chaos stone. The chaos stone in front of them was more than 10 feet tall. It looked very strange. The surface of the stone was mottled. There were holes in the stone. When the wind passed through the holes, it emitted a ghostly wail and waves of yin qi filled the air. This is it. Ling Xiao pointed at the chaos stone in front of him and said. Everyone was stunned. Ling Xiao had chosen the chaos stone too casually. It was as if he had randomly chosen the largest chaos stone. However, although this chaos stone was very large, its price was one of the lowest in the stone forest. 500 drops of sacred liquid. The Blood Origin Elixir Saint had chosen a chaos stone that was worth 300,000 drops of sacred liquid. Could it be that Ling Xiao had given up? Long Outyen, do you think that a large chaos stone can be used to cut out a treasure? Are you not afraid of embarrassing the war god temple? Wang Dao mocked. Long Outyen, if you lack sacred liquid, I can lend it to you. A chaos stone with 500 drops of sacred liquid is no different from a useless stone. It looks like you have really given up. Lu Yun also shook his head and sneered. Whether a chaos stone can be used to cut out a treasure is not dependent on the size of the chaos stone, nor is it dependent on the price of the chaos stone. Moreover, the price is only marked by others. It is very likely that it will be left behind. I will bet that this chaos stone can be used to cut out a treasure. There is no need for the two of you to be noisy here. Ling Xiao said indifferently. This stone was also the one that Ling Xiao's wordless heavenly book felt the most strongly. If Ling Xiao had not suppressed the wordless heavenly book, it might have rushed out directly. If a yin wind stone can be used to cut out a treasure, then I will eat this chaos stone directly. The ignorant are really fearless. You actually chose a yin wind stone. You are courting death. Yun Yang laughed coldly. His eyes were full of disdain. Yin wind stone. What is this? Ling Xiao asked with a puzzled look. He really did not know about the yin wind stone because he knew nothing about chaos stones. He was completely relying on the wordless heavenly book to gamble on stones. You don't even know about the yin wind stone and you dare to gamble on stones? Young Master Yun Yang was stunned. Then, the mocking look on his face became even more intense. It is actually the yin wind stone. The yin wind stone that is said to be a useless stone among chaos stones. It is impossible to cut out a treasure from it. This Long Outyen is too unlucky, isn't he? Someone exclaimed as they recalled the origin of the yin wind stone.